Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway, site of the final race of the 2014-2015 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series season. I'm Jacob Seelman, and right now we're gridded. I'm throwing it topside to the two gentlemen currently up top in tonight's LSRTV broadcast booth. Let's get off it. Evan Pasoko, Petey Zeller. Evan, we're ready to roll at Daytona.
And we circled this race once we saw the schedule come out, and there's 4 drivers mathematically able to get the championship, 3 now that Kevin King is not in the field tonight. That about 20 plus drivers that could end up on the outside or gain positions and get that top 20 to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series as the field rolls. Gonna let you know where we all grid up for this 100 lap 250 mile event. We'll go 10 at a time. Mitchell Hunt on pole position, David Rattler in second, third to Josh Berry, Patrick Crabtree in fourth, fifth to Tyler Laughlin, Brandon Hoffman 6th, 7th to Trey Eidson, Ryan Lowe at 8th, 9th to Corey Vincent, and Stephen Gilbert top 10.
11th, Brandon Schmidt. 12th, Team U of Onan. 13th to Justin Trombley. 14th, Wise. 15th to Alan Bowes. 16th to Brandon Bowie. 17th to Rob Ackley. 18th to your points leader, Tyler Hudson. 19th to the guy chasing him down, Tyler Hill. And 20th, Steve Mazzini.
Sasha Wessler 21st, 22nd Shane Doherty, Benjamin Burmeister 23rd, 24th Dwayne Vincent, Alex Scribner in P25, 26th to Thomas Davis, Casey Tucker 27th, 28th to Kyle McCormick, Kwame Ajay will roll P29, and top 30 for Andrew Fayash.
31st to Greg McKinney. 32nd, Brandon Coppinger. 33rd, Brandon Chaburko. 34th, Brandon Cattell making a return. 35th to Robin Williams. 36th to Matt Spangler. 37th to Brad Davies. 38th to Taylor Hurst. 39th, Landon Harrison. 40th to Shane Miller, rounding out your field tonight's number 42 machine of Charlie Foster.
The 41 cars attempted to take the qualifying time, so nobody going to be cut and going to be 2 people short of a full field tonight as 41 cars get set to get this one kicked off for the final time the 2014-2015 campaign. This race not only with the championship and the top 20 cutoff on storylines, but a lot of drivers tonight possibly making their final pro starts, a lot of possible final races for some teams out here as well, and it's time to get it picked off. Pace car is down to the way, green flag flies, and Mitchell Hunt going to lead us across the start-finish line, racing from Daytona. The South Beach 250 is green and already side by side up through this entire field, PD. 41 cars going to have to cycle through. A lot hangs in the balance from these next 250 miles.
Yeah, 250 miles of championship, and a lot of guys are going to be trying to transfer into the Pro Series. We're going to watch them go here. Leader right now, Mitchell Hunt. He's virtually out of everything. He's just here to have some fun. The guys right behind him, though, the 09, 15, and 88, those machines are battling for chase spots. I mean, DWC licenses right now. That includes Tyler Laughlin. So as we watch David Rattler take the lead here on the outside, these guys have a lot to fight for tonight, Evan, and it should be exciting. Here we go on the outside. David Rattler trying to take that 19 machine of Mitchell Hunt. Hunt doing a spectacular job right now with help from Josh Berry on the inside.
Still side by side throughout this entire field, and Mitchell Hunt leads right now. This whole pack of cars, which is this lead group, a little bit of 3 wide back as Nathan Wise will shuffle back a couple of rows. He'll be passed by the 80 of Brandon Cattell, so going backwards is Nathan Wise. 3 wide around the number 91 of Shane Doherty. A lot of guys who started up inside the top 15 may want to get out of this one quickly. We do have quite a few cars that have dropped back that are in their own pack. About 33rd to 38th position are 3.4 seconds back, but this lead group goes all the way through, essentially to the top 32 machines. They're only separated by about 2.5 seconds, and a lot going on as drivers are trying to fall back through this main pack of cars right now. Side by side, about 10 rows deep, all the way back to Alan Bowes in 14th. Up top to now David Rattler, who led the last time by in the 09 machine after starting second. Now Mitchell Hunt with the advantage. The 19 going to go back to the point this time by, but this is the kind of race that we come to expect, PD. A lot of guys very tightly packed together and only working lap 5 of 100 so far in this race. A long way to go, but right now everybody being rather patient and riding in a large pack.
The 95 of Steven Zenny's around and he's hard to the wall. The 91 of Shane Doherty hit the wall, and that was a little big one there we saw in turns number 1 and 2. That all started with that 95 of Steven Azzini. He was racing side by side with the Dwayne Vincent machine. He went to make a move on the high side. Steven Azzini made hard contact with him, as you guys see the replay, and that basically ends Steven Azzini's night. Also involved, and I saw Brandon Chaburko up there, and that was just a little big one early in this race, Evan.
The 95 just following the 02 into the corner, and just a very small bobble on behalf of the 02, and gets sideways, comes up into the fence. The 95 in the wall as well. Behind them, the 48's in the fence. The 98 car looks like the 14 as well. You talked about Shane Doherty. The 91 got cross-checked into the fence by the 14 car after he came back up the hill. So quite a few amount of cars are torn up in that one, and going to slow them down very early in this race. Just about 6 laps into this, going to slow them down for a caution flag period. So Mitchell Hunt's able to get back to the top spot, and just as we said that this one was looking rather calm, at least inside the top 10 for the intervals that they were running at that point. Everybody was rather calm, and this incident happens back there in the pack where we saw a lot of people dropping back, trying to get out of that essentially chaos up at the front of the field there, and it's just very slight contact. That's what you can see at Daytona, PD, and takes out a lot of fast cars very early. A lot of those people aren't even going to be able to get a legitimate shot at this because they're just caught up in what happened in front of them.
Tough wreck. I already saw the number 98 take it behind the wall. That was Kyle McCormick, so he is done for the night here. And Shane Miller had to start the race 2 laps down. He actually missed that wreck, so he's okay. I'm seeing the 25 of Matt Spangler has his car a lap down. He looks like his car got mostly repaired, though. The cars that were involved in this wreck, though, Evan, the 14 of Robin Williams, to especially note, and the 95 of Steven Azzini, their motors are gone, kaboom. Their cars are basically done right now, and that's a very tough break. Robin Williams and Steven Azzini were both guys racing for the final pro transfer spots, so it's not at all
simulated
what
racing
they needed.
can be
Brandon
awesome,
Chaburko,
but it
too,
can also
he
be
was racing
kind
for
of
a
a
spot.
free-for-all.
His motor's
Interestingly,
blown right
auto
now.
racing faced the same problem.
What a tough break. So many good cars in this wreck, Evan, and man, this is just going to kill a lot of guys in points here tonight, and we're not even to lap 10.
And Chaburko's torn up, and with Shane Doherty, who entered tonight 25th, and again, the top 20 get that automatic pass into the 2015 Peak Antifreeze Series races. Not happy to be one of the 10 cars that fight for 3 go-home positions week in and week out. He's involved in that one, essentially made it through, but it was the 14 car who was sliding on the apron of Robin Williams, tried to correct it, and then puts him up into the outside wall. So a lot of guys torn up. Shane Miller is 2 laps down. That was via a penalty for not pulling into his stall at the end of our most recent race. He is going to have to try to fight through some adversity. Never want to hurt yourself at a hole here at Daytona. But the guys that go laps down from that, Shane Doherty, he's out of the race. Robin Williams is on pit road but quite torn up. Dwayne Vincent is now 1 lap down. He's behind the wall. Matt Spangler behind the wall. Brad Davies is out on track but finds himself 1 lap down. And like you said, a lot of fast cars torn up. Azzini, he's the last car in the lead lap right now in 36th position. Still getting service done and is going to stay out there on track. Greg McKinney has a lot of damage. So quite a few cars going to get torn up in that one. And again, very early on, not even 1/10 of the way through.
So yeah, that's going to be a very, very tough break for all these guys. And well, Evan, right now, though, look at this top 3. Mitchell Hunt, we know he cannot go DWC. There is no chance for him right now. He missed 2 races, and that's going to be tough for him to have any shot. David Rattler, he's sitting okay right now. He's battling for the last transfer spot. If he can stay up here, he'll be good. Josh Berry, just outside the top 30. He needs a top 5 tonight, or else he isn't going to even have the chance to qualify for the last spots in DWC. Crabtree, same situation as David Rattler. And Tyler Laughlin, he's 1 position out right now. And Evan, it's going to be very interesting tonight to see how these guys race for it. And basically, I don't see a single guy in the top 20 right now who has themselves locked in, with the exception of Trey Eitzen, Evan. It's all up in the air right now. We have some past winners from the season, Tyler Laughlin and Ryan Lowe up there, but even they aren't clinched, Evan. They have had rough season despite their wins, and they're deep in the points right now, 22nd and 20th, so they're going to have to fight for all they're worth here tonight.
Yeah, you talk about a guy like a Brandon Chiburko who enters 9th position, 207 points total on his tally, 9 races through. That only given him just about a points gap back to 20th position, which entering tonight's race was occupied by Tyler Laughlin at about 18 points. So as he sits back in 34th position, very bad news. And again, all of this still speculation, and pretty much everybody here has gone through some adversity, and it seems like a lot of the cars that were caught up in that incident, almost a period on what happened throughout their entire season. Just a lot of rough luck for guys like Gazinian back there who got caught up in this incident. But again, with the way the drops work is right now, these points are calibrated to their current drops. What is their current worst race out of the 9 so far? If they have any way, a worst race tonight that could shuffle some things up, I don't think it'll be too major because a lot has gone on in these opening 9 races. But that's something else to keep into effect. That again, we won't know officially until those post-race moments. You're taking a look at everybody 19th on back. There's a lot of fast names back there. You talk about nobody being essentially locked in. With that cutoff being at 191 points for 20th with Tyler Laughlin and Ryan Lowe at 189, a 2-point gap. There's at least 20 guys that can drop out or move up in this race, and a lot of them were just caught up in that one. Still with quite a few number of cars on the lead lap, though. 34 of them still on the lead lap, many of which are still torn up. Guys like McKinney, Chiburko are back there and are continuously trying to get serviced under their cars, but meanwhile, we still have about 91 laps to go as the lights go off at a pace car from Daytona.
So that will send us back under green here as we're going to about get ready to take it again. Mitchell Hunt once again will be our leader, followed by David Rattler. So 2 guys that need a good run tonight are out there leading this event. Pace car gets ready to duck off. So here we go. Pace cars heads out of turn number 4, coming towards pit road, getting ready to duck off here. Just a few. We're going to send it back to Evan there.
It currently working down the back straightaway. Lights are off on top of the pace car right now. Mitchell Hunt once again going to be in control of this field. Oneida David Rattler still in second, so no change on the front row, and for that matter, no change inside of the top 8, Jacob.
Yeah, and it took a little bit, but we're up finally here in the tower. I decided the pit studio wasn't good enough for this last race, and it's definitely not good enough because it's Daytona, ready to rock and roll with this first American Ethanol Green Flag restart of the night, and it's going to be a good one. We always love Daytona for this exact reason. It's unpredictable, it's exciting, and you usually see a surprise or 10 along the way as we come off turn number 4, and this time the pace car makes the duck for pit road. Green flag back in the air. Mitchell Hunt, Josh Berry tandeming up as we are back underway here with 9 of 100 complete. Berry trying to shove Hunt down to turn number 1. Those 2 are the leaders outside lane with no help right now as they go into the 31-degree banking.
The 88 really gave it a big hand there to the 19 of Mitchell Hunt. You see behind them the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, going to be coming up from 6th position on that restart to 3rd on the bottom. Now the outside has found some help. David Rattler with the push from the 15 of Patrick Crabtree behind them. They got Brandon Hoff in tow, the 38 of Ryan Lowe as well, and we go now 2 wide, 4 rows deep up here for the top spot. And it's pretty much been Mitchell Hunt's race so far. David Rattler's been able to snag a bonus point by leading one of them, but so far most of the position swapping has gone on back in the pack from some people trying to drop back it out of these opening race moments, which evidently and ironically enough led to that opening yellow. But so far everybody's so tightly packed together that if you're a guy like that 80 of Josh Berry, although you were giving a good push to Mitchell Hunt, even a 51 of Laughlin can't go anywhere right now because everything's so tight up front.
That's exactly right, Evan. And right now, I mean, last time by, we had 17 cars within 1 second of each other, back to Corey Vincent. And right now at the field, they're 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. It's like Noah's Ark up here. Outside lanes starting to move now. David Rattler up top with help from the 15 of Patrick Crabtree. He wants the lead and off turn number 4. They're getting ready to come. It's going to be the 09 with a slight advantage, but now here comes Hunt back to the inside, so they're going to be wheel-to-wheel for the top spot once again, and at the stripe, give it to Rattler by 1/1000th of a second. That's how tight it may be down to the finish of this race. 61 1/1000ths among the top 3, Evan. They're still wheel-to-wheel, about 4 rows deep. They're 2 wide, and door-to-door for the lead off turn number 2, and down this super stretch. Mitchell Hunt just does not want to give it up.
And he's getting a little bit of a good help there still from that 88 of Josh Berry. The outside, though, is working very well together. And we've seen it the last 2 laps where David Rattler's been able to pull clear. Disadvantage for that high side is when you go up in a corner 3 or up in a corner 1, you're essentially going up the banking. If you're down on the bottom, you can dive it into the quarter, and you'll see very clearly if you see the 09 to 15 they're pushing right now, they have the run. Once we get to 1, going to go back in the hands of Mitchell Hunt. That's why he's able to challenge. But so far, the people that are working that draft best is the outside lane. Mitchell Hunt led it that last time by, but you see the inside. They're able to suck back up and around. You talk about close intervals. Still, the top 18 within 1 second of each other, and the only people that are dropped back are grouped between 27th and 30th position. Hudson, Tucker, Hurst, and Davis have kind of dropped back. They're in their own little 5-car pack way behind these leaders to stay out of trouble early.
And I'm not surprised at this. That's the group I would expect to see a little bit further back in this field. Oh, I'm getting a little nervous back here. They're trying to go maybe 3 wide for an instant, back around 11th, 12th position. Might have been the 20, right behind the 21 of Alan Bose. And now they are going 3 wide, Evan. We've got them stuck. We've got 1 car in the middle, and they're going at it right around the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. They're 3 deep.
And again, still everything very tight right now. Still in the opening stages of this race. Only 14 laps in, and the side-by-side has gone back about 9 rows deep now. 1 car looking to the outside. It is that number 80 of Brandon Cattell. Goes to the high side and making it a 3-wide battle. The 21 in the middle there. That's the Alan Bose entering on the bottom. Is the number 6 machine right there of Trey Eidson. This battle going on just outside of the top 10 right now. But again, nowhere for anybody to go. Cattell maybe just jumping at a line to get some air, because even if somebody went down with help with him, don't think you're really going to be able to make or even want to make a 3-wide move that early. So he jumps at a line, gets some air, tucks back down in line in front of the 17 of Justin Trombley. Again, still riding around. Although you want to make something happen, and no race car driver's really content right now with a P9, they have to deal with that, and they have to hope that everybody else has the same mindset and things can stay calm in front of them, because it's packs like these where trouble can make big issues coming off the corners.
Cattell's making me nervous right here, honestly, Evan. Though, I mean, yeah, he's heir to that spoiler, but he's really pushing the issue just a little bit up there, almost getting a fender to Alan Bose, and now he is trying to go 3 wide off turn number 4. I'm telling you, that 80 machine is getting dicey right here, and he goes 3 wide through the tri-oval. This is where it's not necessarily going to work.
We've seen the 80 machine be aggressive before in this season, and it's cost him at points, but right now, making that 3 wide work, still with Alan Bose, who's just trying to innocently sit in that middle lane of what should be the high side, but again, finding himself in that 3 wide battle. And although it is Daytona, again, not Tyler, you see everybody on the middle and the bottom, that 80 machine looks like he's got a draft all out there by himself, because everybody's checking up in these middle lanes. They're not constantly on each other, and who knows?
Oh, they are right now.
Side draft. Yeah, he's trying to use the side draft. See a little bit of a stagger with the 09 into 15 there, and he's gone up there on the 3rd lane all by himself. Make it 3 wide for the lead.
He's trying to go for the lead. He's about 4th right now. I mean, Cattell is doing it by himself. Not what I expected, but he is going to start to lose some time now really quickly.
Going with him now.
Yeah, he looked heroic for just a second, but now he's got no help, and he's right back where he started. Meanwhile, Josh Berry's pushed Mitchell Hunt back out to the lead, and it's 2 cars single file. Look at Tyler Laughlin, the 51. up the inside to third now. That Monster Energy machine started to come to life a little bit, and he's got help from Trey Eidson in the 6 machine. So the Cody Bias entries starting to make a little noise. Coming forward is that 6 machine, and the 51 too for that matter. They're working together, trying to get to the front, and it's getting dicey again up towards the battle for the lead. That 09 of Rattler not ready to give in, and 19 of Mitchell Hunt's playing defense, and he about gave Josh Berry the inside there a minute ago.
And we see that a lot of time the car that leads that bottom lane feels hesitant and wants to jump up, block the run at the outside. There's 2 things that can happen. That guy behind you that you put the block on, it might spin out, or you come back down, you lose the inside spot. We're going to have to single file
low lap traffic
car, staying high, and that's going to allow the 09 machine to get in front of Mitchell Hunt, so the block did not work, and because he did that, it separated himself from the 88 of Josh Berry, so before they're able to get back hooked up, there goes that 15 Patrick Crabtree, and he's able to push the 09 of David Rattler to P1 now for the first time tonight. It is Rattler's Ford Fusion that has sole possession of P1 instead of being side by side with Mitchell Hunt, who's now in third.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell Hunt getting shuffled out here just a little bit. I thought that 19 car had the best car out front for now, but since he's gotten shuffled and the 09 and the 15 made that run work, it gives a little bit of a different complexion now to these front 4, 5, 6 cars or so. So we'll let it single out right here. And really quickly, Evan, we're coming up on 20 laps complete. It's going to be 19 complete when they get back to the line. So we're getting to the 1/5 mark of this race in quite a hurry.
The only one caution so far, and it kind of came back at a pack, so it's been exciting to see what these leaders have been able to do, and this race still far from over. Next time around, as we take lap 20, going to be 1/5 of the way through this thing, and there's still a lot of the big names that are highlighted. Guys like Hudson, you got Corey Vincent, Kevin King, who's not in the field tonight, but Tyler Hale as well, the drivers that are eligible to win this championship. They're deep in the pack as Brandon Hoff now goes to the top spot, and up on the high side there, the 80 machine tucked up behind him. So almost a statement that Brandon Cattell made, Jacob, by going up all by himself, and all of a sudden everybody wants to work with him now.
Everybody wants to work with him because they know he's a fast race car, and they know he's not afraid to make the moves when it counts. Cattell trying to shove that 23 of Brandon Hoff towards the front of this field. Hoff actually led the last time by. For an instant, we got a couple of cars making a bailout move right here, Evan. The 09 of David Rattler's headed towards pit lane, so this shuffles things up just a bit.
Quite a few cars coming down pit road. They're led by what looks like the first car coming down in that group is Patrick Crabtree. Rode him down, and a lot of them came in behind that. We were about 4 wide coming into the pits there. And again, you got to get these things wound down to pit road speed at 60 miles an hour. So everybody doing so without relatively any issues. Take a look at what they're doing on the stops. Looks like pretty much gas and go for all the drivers. And Patrick Crabtree will lead the 19 of Mitchell Hunt off of pit lane. And now all these guys, they want to stay bunched up so they can use the draft from each other, so that once the other people come back down, to people that have not come down, then they sit in the lead right now, they're already going to be up to speed. And it's something that you can lose and gain a lot of time. You make one mistake when you come down pit road with 7 other drivers, and you could be by yourself for the rest of the event.
That's absolutely right. Petey, I'll throw it down to you for a minute. How tough is this going to be for these guys trying to make it happen in a couple of different groups here coming down to pit lane?
Well, tonight, whenever you come down pit road, you will have different issues than you normally do at a track. If you have a bad pit stop in another track, you lose a second on the track. Tonight, if you have a bad pit stop, you'll come out of the pit road 1 second behind the guys in front of you, and you might think that's not too bad. You will no longer have the draft, and you will lose the pack, and you could go anywhere from 1 to 2 laps down. If you do not have a perfect pit stop tonight, you can consider yourself done. Pit stops are key tonight at Daytona.
Pit stops are key, Evan, and we're going to have to wait to see when this front group now makes the move to pit road, and it's really shuffled things up so far. New players at the front, some old players, but I mean, these pit cycles are where things get really exciting here at the 2.5 mile high banks.
And we see it, and maybe not so much at these super speedway races, but these different cycles of stops can allow a lot of things to happen. They can kind of throw a wrench into things as far as getting people out of order. Right now, for the most part, people that are going to be pitting from a lead lap spot, unless you're seconds back, like the guys that are pitted right now, they're led by Patrick Crabtree, 35 back, so they don't lose their lead lap status, but caution could always shake things up. Another thing is, again, you come down limiting mistakes. We always talk every week that you cannot have mistakes. If we talk to drivers, and, a guy like a Tyler Hill who has been fast, but he just can't get the qualifying down. Limiting mistakes and doing your best. One mistake here can cost you a lot more than 15 seconds because you might start only 3 seconds behind him if you overshoot that stall a little bit. A speeding penalty as well, very devastating, but you need the help from others, even people that aren't necessarily your friends or teammates out there on track at times.
That's absolutely right. And as we get set here, next time by, we're going to basically reach the 1/4 mark of this race. And it seems so quickly that we've gotten there. Just about 21 minutes of green flag time into this race. Brandon Hoff leads Alan Bose. Trey Eidson in third. Ryan Lowe's worked his way up to fourth. And Brandon Cattell rounds out the top 5 right now, as we've had some guys cycle through for green flag pit stops and others who are just kind of waiting it out right now. But we're basically 1/4 of the way through this final race of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series for 2014-2015. And we're going to take our first caution flag here on LSRTV, do some business, go side by side, and be back in just a moment. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on LSRTV from Daytona International Speedway.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun, but there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the World Center of Racing from Daytona International Speedway. LSRTV bringing you the final round of the 2014-2015 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko in the broadcast booth. Petey Zeller down on pit lane, and things really shaking up right now, Evan. We've had a little bit of different strategies. Some guys pitting early, some guys trying to stretch it a little bit longer, and that's made the players at the front of this field a little bit different right now, and it's allowed the 17 of Justin Trombley to lead. Last time by, Brandon Cattell just took the lead away, but all this strategy play has given us 16 drivers within 9 seconds, and then a host of drivers about a half lap behind.
Cattell and Laughlin pulled that swap to be able to get the 80 Kellogg's machine out in front of him, but right now everybody essentially through 16th position have not pitted yet. And you hear the 51 to 80, and they're going to make a swap right now for the top spot. What would be, in theory, the lead position for the people that have already pitted is 17th. Right now that is led by Josh Berry, David Rattler there as well. Mitchell Hunt, third car in that group in 19th position, along with Patrick Crabtree. So essentially when you can make it just shy of 40 laps in this race, a little bit of a, quote, short pit from that first pack that came down pit road, looking at splitting up this, essentially the second half or these last 3 quarters of this race in half. Now the guys that have stayed out, they're going to take one of their longer runs now, and they're going to have to do a short one either in the middle or at the end. Again, all of this assuming that this race would stay green all the way through, which it is Daytona. Nothing is guaranteed in that regard, but always like to see the pit strategy come into things, and going to be exciting to see where the intervals shake out, because that group that is already pitted right now, they were 34 seconds back, now 35 back. Every second matters, and once we see these leaders come down pit road, which is not going to be all that far from right now as they work lap number 34, and they have not yet come down pit road in this race, it's going to be interesting to see what they do and what that gap's going to be once everybody's cycled down and out.
Everybody, we're waiting for everybody to cycle down and out right now, and Petey, I know you and I have been talking during the break a little bit about these windows, and you have to imagine before too long this front group is going to come down pit road, and
it truly is a matter of when they want to come down pit road here. It's just a matter of time for them now. We actually just saw 2 guys come down pit road here. That was 77 and 56. But these guys, I can see them come down pit road around lap 38 because that's normally the fuel run here at Daytona with them only having 1 caution. Maybe they can stretch it to 40, but certainly any lap now they're deemed to come down pit road.
And as we watch this battle, I mean, despite the fact that it's a little bit different pit strategy right now, Evan, these guys have been mixing it up for the top spot. Justin Trombley, Brandon Cattell, Tyler Laughlin have been going at it. They've changed the lead 2 or 3 times in the last 5 or 6 laps.
And we're going on board right now, and you're taking a look at the battles going on. And Trombley right now with Cattell, you see the 80 machine will yield high. Him to 51 as well have been working well together, pulling swaps. The 6 of Trey I. They are better. Oh, the 17 just got turned for the top spot. Trombley's in the fence, and the 50 machine's involved as well. Wow. And the 25 I still reckon. That Spangler's in it.
Oh, boy. That is exactly what we did not want to see.
Extremely similar to that first incident, just so sudden. Justin Trombley, and almost identical. It's on a straightaway. The small bobble by that 51 machine. You're going to look at the replay right now. Tyler Laughlin goes high just the slightest bit, comes back down, and just hooks that 17 right around on the straightaway. Hard into the outside wall goes Trombley. Everybody tries to get out of his way. The 37 narrowly avoiding it, and then I said the 50 of Alex Scribner gets involved. And then after that, somewhere along the lines here, Matt Spangler comes spinning into this after he tried to slow down. The 89 of Landon Harrison got on the brakes in front of him. The 25 went low, ended up in the grass, and he actually spun right into that 17.
And with that, it puts us under caution and slows the field. And really, this is going to be a tough break for the guys who stayed out and were just getting ready to pit, Evan, because it's going to put them at the back of this lead pack now and allow those guys who pitted because they didn't lose a lap to go back to the front of the field. So it's going to shuffle things yet again. And it's not what Tyler Laughlin, Brandon Cattell want. Those guys would have loved to have just fallen right back in the pack and made this a heck of a show coming back to the front. But now they're going to be mired in traffic, and it's going to make it a little difficult.
He asked, what are the things that could happen? And we talked about how the backpack could just lose time in general, or a caution. And again, thankfully for them, it's Daytona and not like an intermediate track, because they'd be down the lap, they'd have to get a wave around, and it would actually put these cars that are now coming down pit road in a catbird position. So Laughlin going to lead him, as well as what's going to be
Simulated
in the range
racing
of
can be
about
awesome.
18,
Can also
maybe
be...
looks like 15 or so drivers down pit road. The 24 car, I see the 80. Obviously, those machines have already come down and serviced. Quite a few cars actually in that secondary pack as well, coming down pit road. A couple of them to top off to try to shuffle up their pit cycle, but working on lap 38 right now of 100, in a position that if you were to fuel up right now, you'd be good on one more stop.
Oh boy. We were waiting for all these fuel strategies and other such unsundry things to kind of line up together and make life a little bit fun. Well, guess what? It's just made life a little bit fun, Evan. So, with gonna be 38 laps complete when they come back to the stripe, we're going to take care of a little bit of business here, slide in, give you more green flag racing in just a moment. From Daytona International Speedway, you're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on LSRTV. We're under caution. Welcome back to LSRTV. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko in the broadcast booth for the final race of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series here from Daytona. And Evan, coming into tonight, you're getting a look at the graphic right now on the screen. Points, and it's important. The top 20, or in this case, the top 21, with the exception of one driver who we'll talk about in a minute, going to be locked into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for 2015. 10 more going to get go or go home slots and keep their pro licenses. There's a lot on the line in addition to just a championship.
And that championship, by the way, as you could see, is very, very close. There are also a high number of drivers that are in a position, and many of which have had trouble tonight, that mathematically, if they had a good run, would be able to bump up into that top 20 or even into the top 30. Drivers that they knew that if they had trouble would drop out of that top 20, out of the top 30, with 21st through 30th being those go or go home spots. A lot going on. And again, essentially 21 positions, and these drivers in the top 20 have the right to decline their invitation, which could open up spots 21, 22 as well. So not, totally out of it if you're in those spots, but you don't want to have to bank on that.
You don't want to have bank on that. And for one driver in particular that's in this field tonight, we already know he will be declining his spot, and we'll be talking with him during the post-race show tonight. But the 2013 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, Tyler Hudson, has said regardless of whether he pulls a championship out of his hat tonight, this is it for him. He's going to be retiring the black stripes at the end of this event tonight, and he'll still be on the surface, but he'll be hanging up the pro helmet for the last time. And for a guy who has done so much for this service over the last 5-6 years since the top level of sim racing here on iRacing began, for me, it's tough to watch him go tonight, Evan, because Tyler has done so much to advance this series, and it's got to be, I know, a little bit heartbreaking even for him at the end of this race tonight.
Yeah, lights off, we're getting set to go green, but somebody who's done so much as well this season has still been able to show that he can run with the best of them and at many times beat them. Good to see if he can pull off the fairy tale ending to it.
The fairy tale ending would be, of course, a win and a championship. He's right now going to restart 20th, but still a long way to go to get there. 40 down, 60 laps to go. American Ethanol green flag flies once again, and Josh Berry in the 88 takes off to the lead down into turn number 1. Going to be a push from David Rattler that moves the 88 back out to the front of this field. Berry leads it, but they're wheel-to-wheel about third place behind them. Alan Bowes, the 21, going at it with the 19 of Mitchell Hunt.
And Hunt right now with no immediate help. He had been working with that 15 machine for that entire stint after they came down pit road and they were hanging out 35 seconds back. Him and Crabtree led that pack for the majority of it, kind of got stuck up high, they went backwards. That's the exact scenario that they find themselves in right now with the 19 and the 15 up high, the 38 not too far behind them, Ryan Lowe, the third car up on the outside lane, but right now the dominant line with the most cars is down low. That doesn't mean anything to the 19 Mitchell Hunt. He'll lead it at that time at the stripe by 5 1/1000ths of a second. Get quite a good run, not enough to get clear of that 88 of Josh Berry, but thought about it.
He thought about it, and he's still thinking about it, but he doesn't have the help to do it as they work off the banking onto the super stretch. Down the back straightaway, it's going to be Berry with the momentum again. And now look at the surge that the 19 Ford of Mitchell Hunt gets down that long back straightaway. He leads it by half a car length into turn number 3, but Berry moves back on the bottom, all the way clear now with the 19 of Mitchell Hunt, trying to bring the 09 of Rattler with him, and I don't think Rattler's quite going to be able to do it off turn 4. They'll wheel to wheel for second at the stripe.
David Rattler's a machine that's been working up on the outside lane for the majority of the race. Now finds himself down low in an assist position, which is the kind of role that Josh Berry took at the beginning of the race when he started third, and he was pushing that 19 to Mitchell Hunt, who he battles right now side by side with for those opening portions. So the fact that they're fighting, if that 19 machine Mitchell Hunt who's able to get clear, if he does on that 88, although he's been working with Crabtree, those 88 and the 19 could possibly get there. Look at the 80 car again for the second time tonight. Brandon Cattell up on the high side all by himself, and he's bringing company with him. Thomas Davis hopping on that train. They're starting to run out of room though in 4 as that middle lane slides high after a check up at the 15 and the 38, but Cattell making the outside lane work using whatever side draft he can. Only issue is he got right up to the top spot and dropped. He now has help with that 83. Let's see if they can do something with it now as they're side by side for essentially what is 4th. They're 2 cars deep from the leader.
This is exactly what that 80 car did last run, Evan. He made a bonsai move to the outside, and it worked for a while. Then it fell away. Then he tried it again and basically got himself all the way to the lead, and he almost makes a little bit of contact right there, battling for about 5th place. He's right there with Alan Bowes. He's right there. That was the 15 of Patrick Crabtree that I saw get a little bit squirrely with him, but Cattell trying to make that extreme high lane work. I believe I've heard some people call that the Dale Earnhardt Jr. line. Evan, the Pied Piper, likes to run right out there next to the wall, and Cattell trying to do that in his machine here tonight, but finally drops it back in too wide. Now he'll try it again in 1.
I was going to say that upside lane, or what actually is going to be the middle lane once he made it 3 wide, had a perfect opening for him to tuck in line, and at the moment, Thomas Davis did not have room. Now that him and the 83 were able, it looks like that 83 is going with Cattell, so Cattell is kind of piloting this. We got a tandem in the middle now, and essentially you got to watch out if you're Mitchell Hunt and Crabtree, because looks like the 38 is going to go to the high side, Ryan Lowe, so almost that middle lane may be at a disadvantage here as Cattell continuing to try to fight with the 19 sliding up just a tad bit. Cattell needs some help though if he wants to be able to keep with those guys that are pushing on the bottom of the middle lane, which by the way at Daytona a lot easier to push in those lanes than when you're being squeezed between the door of the 15 and the outside retaining wall. A lot thinner this racetrack is than Talladega, and at speeds right now of 201 miles an hour in the corner. A lot can go wrong real fast, and these guys got to watch each other just about 5 laps shy from halfway.
Oh, we're only halfway, Evan, really? We've still got 50 more laps of holding our breath to go.
And I think we're only getting warmed up so far. Cattell's gone backwards. His drafting partner, essentially, who was following him, Davis, is now tucked back in line, but behind the 38 and the 6, the 38 and the 6 machines of Ryan Lowe and Trey Eidson, they thought about going high, ducked back down in line, and once again, Cattell's able to get there. He's able to get that side draft, but once he runs out of cars to side draft with, and he's right up alongside Mitchell Hunt, cannot get the job done, and had a spotted line, third on the outside, so about P5 or P6 on track, had it, got aggressive, wanted to go for it again, and it could cost him though. However, still not giving up, is side by side with the 4th cars in line on the bottom in that middle lane right now. Last time by the stripe, he was scored in 9th.
In other news, am I the only one that's noticed that back around 25th, 26th place, the 01 of Tyler Hudson and the 10 of Corey Vincent, the two guys that are locked in this championship battle, are running right together with each other, Evan?
And they're separated by only about 8 points for that top spot in the championship. And we talked about that they had dropped back early in this race, and that was the strategy call that they were going to go with. Corey Vincent right now works on the inside lane. Tyler Hudson in the 01 machine going to follow him through. Don't expect those drivers to hang out in 25th through the rest of this race, but they're smart, they're veterans, they know that they need to be able to get to the end of this to have a shot at it. Only problem is sometimes at Daytona, strategy may not work entirely in your favor. The way the cautions fly, all these different circumstances can play into it, and they're not really at the point, Jacob, where I'd say they're safe. That you need to stay in touch with the lead pack if this were to stay green, so you can't be 6-7 seconds out of it, but they're still in a point that if there were to be something to happen in front of them, not necessarily clear of any trouble if anything were to brew up in front of them. But right now we've settled down to 2 lanes in the front. The 80 machine has finally given way, but still able to slide in line in front of the 6 of Trey Eidson, so that'll score him now still 9th position, but now in that middle lane, and the car that he was working with, the Thomas Davis machine, sliding all the way back behind the 9 of Tyler Hill in 12th.
Yeah, and Tyler Hill's the other wild card in this battle. If something were to happen to the 01 and the 10 tonight, Evan, that 9 machine still has a mathematical chance to win this championship, so it's not over for Tyler Hill. He's doing what he needs to do right now, staying right up with this lead pack and being there to capitalize should something happen to those 2 front runners. We know who the 2 favorites are right now, but the dark horse in that Cody Bias Racing number 9 machine, it's not over for Tyler Hill, so we'll just wait and see how this goes. Meanwhile, back up front, Josh Berry just took the lead back after Mitchell Hunt had it for 3 or 4 consecutive laps right here. Berry got it at the stripe. We're working the halfway lap right now, Evan, and Josh Berry would love to get back clear of the 19 of Mitchell Hunt, but I'm not convinced that's going to happen. In fact, I'm more convinced that outside lane is the one that's got all the steam right now. Hunt is really putting on a show trying to get around Berry.
And this is some great racing that we're seeing, and again, the 80 goes high, makes it look like he's making it work, ducks back in line, and many drivers would be satisfied sitting right behind Patrick Crabtree in that situation. Jacob was able to get back in line, back to the high side, always trying to make something happen. What he's trying to do is take advantage of these guys. Check it up. When you're in the pack, things quote-unquote calm at the moment. Yes, they're pushing. Yes, we're only about a couple inches separating one person's door from another, one guy's bumper from the front nose of the other machine, but you're checking up. They're not pushing unless you're in the top spots. You're constantly checking up, checking up, checking up. That's what we saw the 80 get a huge run on that first time he made it on the high side. Right now that things are slightly settled down, I'll say we still got 15 cars within 1 second of each other, but that 80 machine's still the only one up high right now. Nobody going with him. Davis was his biggest supporter. He's kind of slid off a little bit. We'll have to see if anybody bites on that 80 strategy.
Yeah, and that last time by the stripe, we did see the crossed flags, so we are officially halfway home in this final race of the Pro Series for 2014-2015, this time by 51 laps complete. And with that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the iRacing mid-race leaderboard. I know they're changing positions fairly quickly, but we'll give you a general idea of where these front runners are. Josh Berry and Mitchell Hunt side by side fighting for the race lead. Berry led it last time by. David Rattler, the 09, is third. Then it's Patrick Crabtree and Brandon Cattell. Rounding out the top 5, Cattell in that third lane by himself. Alan Bowes rides 6th, Ryan Lowe 7th, 8th is Brandon Hoff, 9th to Trey Eidson, and 10th to Brandon Schmidt.
11th right now, as this all still going on up in front of them since Tyler Hill has started at 19th and is knocking on the door for a top 10. Thomas Davis, 14 position gain for 12th, 13th right now to to Tyler Laughlin. The 51 machine was a front runner earlier on and is still in touch with this lead pack. Back there right behind him in 14th is Stephen Gilbert. Benjamin Burmeister, 15th position for the number 66 LRM Ford entry. Behind him, the 99 of Team UE voted. Alex Scribner, 17th position. 18th right now is Rob Ackley. Brendan Bowie back in 19th. And a car that's picked up quite a bit of ground but still has a long way to go after starting 37th. It's a P20 right now for Brad Davies.
21st is Kwame Ajay, the 43. 22nd to Landon Harrison. 23rd to Brandon Coppin. 24th, Corey Vincent. 25th, Tyler Hudson. Those are the two in the championship battle. 26th to Andrew Fayash. 27th is Casey Tucker. 28th to Taylor Hurst. They just changed on me. Casey Tucker up to 27th. Taylor Hurst back to 28th now. Sasha Westler in the 31 is 29th. And the last car on the lead lap, Evan, 30th to the 42. That's Charlie Foster.
And that's everybody on the lead lap. Got a couple of people off this lead lap that are still on track. 31st, 2 laps down. That's Shane Miller. 32nd, 2 laps down as well. The 25 of Matt Spangler with some damage after being caught up in that incident down to back straightaway a couple laps ago. 5 laps down is Nathan Wise in the 24 car. And from here on out, almost out of the race. We got Robin Williams. He's still on track. 11 laps down in 34th. 35th position is Justin Trombley. He's still out there in the number 17 entry. He is 15 laps down. Joined him is Greg McKinney, the number 20, still out there, 15 laps down, 36 out of it, and on the pit road, but essentially out of this race is Brandon Chaburko. He'll finish 37th. He's 36 out of it, 38th right now to Kyle McCormick, Stephen Azenyi, 39th, 40th to Shane Doherty, and Dwayne Vincent rounds out the 41-car field, so about 6 of them on the hook, and about an equal amount, a handful of them that are off the lead lap with quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, and those last 4, Vincent, Doherty, Azenyi, and McCormick were actually caught up in the very first caution of this race, Evan, at lap number 7 or so. Went that wreck that collected Doherty. Vincent started when Azenyi got turned and others. So right now we watch those guys. They're watching from the spectator seats now, but we are 55 laps in, and we are watching Josh Berry continue to lead this party with Mitchell Hunt to his outside, and I'm continuing to watch Brandon Cattell. There's 2 Brandons up there still. Cattell in the 80 trying to make that high lane work, the multicolored paint scheme, Evan. You can't miss him. He's 3 wide for 3rd right now, and he is almost to these leaders now and giving Mitchell Hunt a bit of a shove. 3 wide for the lead in 3.
And that 80 machine has not given up. Cattell must have a lot of tape on the nose of that Kellogg Chevy or something, because he is moving, and it's kind of fluctuating. You see, he was able to get up there, challenge for Josh Berry, but we're going to stall way out, lose all that speed into the corner, doesn't have any immediate help. So Josh Berry on the bottom leads it at the stripe. Mitchell Hunt, who leads that middle lane in 2nd, and then you find Cattell, who's going to be scored 5th. Now he tucks back in line behind the 15 of Patrick Crabtree. We've seen him a couple times tonight in this position. Don't expect him to hang out there, though. He wants to jump back up high, and again, we've seen that once somebody with them, they were able to really make good progress. The 80 by himself is fast, but I still think that he needs help, Jacob, if he wants to be able to get in front of the 19, get in front of the 88, and be able to jump off of that 3rd lane and clear somebody. You see, he also has got to keep jumping in line because you got that 20 car up there staying out of the way. So Cattell essentially dodging lap cars and trying to make it work here. 3 wide action at Daytona. Can't complain about that, as he's being aggressive, and he has picked up a lot of spots. Started 34th position. The guys in front of him all started top 4. The guys behind him, with the exception of Alan Bose, who started 15, all top 10 cars. So to pick up what's going to be 21 positions, actually 31 positions so far in this race, is a great improvement for the 80 machine, and he wants to get even more.
He does want to get a little bit more, and it's the battle that we're going to keep watching. Right now, we are 57 laps complete. Just 43 remain here from the World Center of Racing. We're going to step aside for a moment, but you won't miss a thing. We're going to go side by side here on LSRTV, so you can continue to watch this battle for the lead between Josh Berry and Mitchell Hunt. Right now, it's Berry with the slight advantage here from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. This is the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Welcome back to LSRTV. As you saw when we were side by side, green flag pit stops for all the race leaders have begun. Evan Pasoko, we just saw Brandon Cattell lead the second train down on pit road. The 80 had assumed the lead for a moment. Right now it's Ryan Lowe out front. This is exactly what we expected. This final stop to come in the window, about 38 laps to go, and all the leaders are ducking now. Lowe, Alan Bowes, Brandon Hoff, Taylor Hurst. They're the last group to come down pit road, and we're seeing exactly how this is going to shake out now.
And this should make, again, we saw the two different cycles of pit stops start to come to fruition in the earlier stages of this race. Caution flew, and those people that had stayed out got their service. At that point, everybody was essentially on a one-stop strategy. Right now, they're not wasting any time. Essentially, as short as a pit as you can make it. We talked about the fuel window being anywhere from maybe 37, stretching it to 40 laps. Well, they came down pit road at essentially 39 laps to go, so they're not planning on having anything left in the tank when it's all said and done. Want to have the lightest car possible coming down to the checkered flag in this one.
It's going to make it icy. That's what I can tell you. Petey, I mean, you were watching these fuel windows. I'm sure you've got your calculator down there going furiously. Some of these guys trying to stretch it an extra lap or two, maybe give himself a little bit of insurance just in case it gets close here at the end. I mean, you said the pit window was 38 laps or so, and some of these guys pitted with 40 to go. It's going to be close.
Oh, it's going to be close, and 38's an estimate. If they're drafting really well, half throttling, they can save. Really, they need a caution, but I've seen stranger things happen, Jacob. It's racing, anything can happen. Right now, at this point, the guys that pitted with 40 to go, their strategy is, I want to be a DWC driver, and I'm going to throw a Hail Mary here.
I don't know how much of a Hail Mary it is exactly, Evan. It's be interesting to see. I mean, and Petey's exactly right. When you're in the draft, you can probably go 40 laps on a tank of fuel. I mean, 100 miles is not unfeasible here, and just waiting. There's only two guys out there who are still trying to push this through to the end. They've got a 32-second gap on everybody. Landon Harrison, the 89, and the 74 of Taylor Hurst. They're leading in the draft with the 07 machine, who is a lap car. I believe that's Shane Miller.
Yeah, I think this is right on the money. And again, we talk about they don't have anything left over when it's all said and done. And again, right on that bubble is when these guys are coming down pit road. It's no coincidence that they're going to have essentially nothing left in that fuel tank coming down to the checkered flag. They want to have the lightest car possible, and in turn, probably one of the fastest cars possible. And everybody pulling that same strategy. Landon Harrison and the 74 of Taylor Hurst currently lead this race by a gap of 32 seconds. They did not come down for their final stop so far in this race. I know we were talking intervals earlier, and this difference between the guys that pitted versus they didn't was 35 seconds. Right now, Harrison and Hurst have 32. We'll have to see as they tag onto the back of the 07 machine just in front of them. That's Shane Miller, one lap down right now in 30th position. That car still to come in for its final round of pit stops as well. Is can these two cars be faster than the pack and maybe figure something out in this, but we're going to have to keep an eye on those intervals. In theory, you would expect that big pack of cars to be faster, but the way they've been battling, we'll have to keep an eye.
See, the thing about it is, though, Evan, they're so far behind these two leaders. It's almost as if the two leaders are driving, trying to catch the back of the pack. I mean, we know we're running 44-second laps. That most of those guys who are third on back that's basically 3/4 of a lap that they're behind these two leaders, and you put three cars in the draft and they'll be as fast as the pack every single time.
And we're going to be able to go on a standing camera here, and you'll see as our current race leader, Landon Harrison, again, he's tucked up behind the 07 car, got some lap track in front of them. It's a majority of a lap. It is that gap, and the question is going to be how long is it going to take you to slow down from 200 miles an hour, get on pit road, drive into your stall, get back out, go all the way around that apron in 1 and 2. You can't pull right up, and then get back up to 200 miles an hour and see, because it's a huge difference if Landon Harrison and Taylor Hurst end up in front of that pack or end up in behind that pack, because that pack, again, although they came down in two waves, Jacob, essentially still one big pack of cars who are, by the way, 3 wide for about 22nd position right now with Josh Berry.
And you say that as if we're surprised, Evan. Josh Berry, Brandon Schmidt, Casey Tucker, that whole battle back there. I mean, Barry's trying to get back to the head of this lead pack. He doesn't want to be buried behind him at all. I mean, that 88 car is one of the fastest cars on the property. He doesn't want to be stuck in traffic for very, very long because he knows if something breaks loose, it's done.
And this is the time that we saw some of the drivers that hang back. This is when they can kind of sneak up into a spot and we may not notice it. Tyler Hudson has completed his service. The 01's been hanging out. 14th position right now is where he sits. Corey Vincent up to 19th. Now again, this battle goes all the way up to 3rd, but now the 01, maybe everybody's, again, because they're not the leaders, kind of trying to be a little bit sneaky here is Tyler Hudson, Jacob. And before we know it, although we're 3 wide and pretty close, 4 wide now between the 9, the 6, the 80, and the 21 at Daytona, hanging on to it. All of this for just the top 10, and Bobble 23 is going to be up, and what a save for Brandon Hoff.
Brandon Hoff, that was a wreck that just absolutely was looking for a place to happen. I don't know how it didn't happen, to be honest, because it was absolutely nuts. You'll see the replay in side-by-side right now, and watch how close the 23 comes to the wall right here, and they're still 2 and 3 wide.
He tried to get down in front of him and just got nicked there in the left rear quarter panel. Bobbled, could have easily been up at the outside wall, but I mean, 4 wide doesn't typically work at Talladega. They tried to do it at Daytona, and for the most part, it worked out. And again, this is all because of it's kind of 3 wide right now for 3rd position. This will become the lead once Harrison and Hurst pit the 80 machine. Look at Kittel on the high side with help from Alan Bose. Takes about paint off of the nose of the 6 and the 9, and he'll go to 3rd.
Yeah, and the teammates were just beating and banging a little bit. Tyler Hill and Trey Edson right there. They were 3 wide and about made contact door to door. I mean, hang on tight because we've got lap traffic coming. Alan Bose is going to... how did he find a hole right there?
He was about into the back end of that number 25 and 17, and somehow the seas parted for him, and he was able to get down in front of Josh Berry just in the nick of time. But this battle for 3rd, again, these guys know that now with 30 laps to go, 30 laps remaining in their season, and possibly these next 30 laps determining their fate for the 2015 racing campaign, they're going for it. This is everything they have right now for P3.
And it's, again, like you said, Evan, it's going to be the battle for the lead when Harrison and Hurst come down pit road, because 32 seconds is going to put those two at the tail end of the... Put them at the tail end of the pack. We'll try and flip the right switch here.
Still a lot going on side by side, multiple rows deep. The gap remains at 32.0 seconds for Trey Eidson, who led this pack the last time by. Now it's going to be Brandon Kittel, who sits 3rd with help from Tyler Hill in 3rd and 4th that lead this pack. Now back to 31.8 seconds because they've been bouncing off each other. They've been checking up. This is exactly what Landon Harrison and Taylor Hurst want to see, but they don't want a yellow. If a caution comes out, again, most of those guys, if all of them, they're good. A caution's only going to make them have that much more security. Harrison and Hurst would have to come back down pit road, and that would send them all the way back into the high 20s.
Well, do you want to be in the high 20s in case these guys decide they're going to start wrecking with about 10 laps to go, Evan?
It's about how many cars you can dodge at that point, and this is still far from over. It's always the final quarter of these races, and you know, don't want to jinx it, but this has been a pretty good green flag run. Daytona, the racing that we've seen is always exciting, but somehow, some way, they find a way to group them up for a late race shootout. Not saying that'll be the case, knock on wood, but we're getting down to the final quarter, which means the intensity is going up, the action's only getting more exciting, and the pressure is starting to build on these guys. They know kind of the rough estimate. We've been showing the points throughout the night on what it is coming into this race. A lot of people, they know guys in front of them may have had just issues. They know maybe people behind them have had issues tonight as well, have a little bit more security. They kind of have a rough idea of what they need to do, where they sit right now, and that's why you'll be able to tell a lot of drivers out there look a lot more aggressive as opposed to some of the drivers that may be content with their position right now. Look at the 3 wide. Alan Bose, he's the one that pushed Kittel around on the high side, got left with no help. The 19 thought he was going to go outside with him, and Mitchell Hunt goes back to the inside, and once again Alan Bose with nobody to work with in 11th place.
Yeah, and while Bose is 3 wide, I see a challenge for the lead. Where did Trey Eidson come from in the 6 machine? He got a run of steam on the high side, and it's the 2 Cody Bias Racing teammates going door to door for the top spot now. Hill on the inside, Eidson on the outside with help from Ryan Lowe. Hill's got the lead right now by half a car length with Brandon Kittel pushing him. And I can imagine, we talk about them being teammates by the stickers on the door every single week, Evan. But now, with 26 laps to go at Daytona, your teammates are where you find them.
Yeah, I talked about that you might need some help from somebody who may not even necessarily be a acquaintance or rival, anybody, to use them even, to just get the positioning that you need. We saw Cattell again, he just used up Alan Bose, who, by the way, that fast lane entry is making that outside lane work for the most part by himself. Mitchell Hunt thought about going high with him, you see, still thinking about it, but Cattell used that 21, great push by Alan Bose, left him gone, gave no support, and now Brandon Cattell finds himself in 6th position, second car on the inside of this big group of cars, third on back right now on the racetrack. At this point, again, there's no planning. You can think, maybe my teammate's 2 cars behind me. You can't worry about orchestrating something to find them. You just have to keep your foot pinned down in the accelerator and hope that it all works out in the end at 25 to go.
And right now, what it is at 25 laps to go, we're officially into the final quarter of this race. You've got 2 teammates battling for third. You've got 2 guys in Landon Harrison and Taylor Hurst who are fighting for the lead and really trying to do everything they can to, I don't know if you want to call it saving fuel, but oh boy, it's going to be fun. So right now, with a quarter of this race to go, Evan, we're going to pause, catch our breaths, gear up for what's going to be an incredible finish, take a break, and come back for the finish here on LSRTV. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series from Daytona International Speedway.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun, but there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series.
Welcome back to LSRTV. We'll cut the break short and go into it nuts right here. We'll see. Oh, now they're wrecking again. We'll get back to that in a minute. Ryan Lowe's in it. Now the caution flag flies as we wrecked them coming through the tri-oval. 80 laps complete, 20 to go, and oh boy, Evan, here we go again.
It all started in 4th. The 23 gets turned around as we had people trying to blend back up into this lead pack, and Then as we were looking at that down to back straightaway, again, essentially a lap car. The 20 machine staying up high as he has all race long, Jake, but they just ran out of room for him. And a huge checkup turns that 38 of Ryan Lowe around. He bounces off with the 16. Looks like the 80 machine involved as well. Going to be the 83 car. 21 of Alan Bose is involved in this one. Looks like some small damage on the 11 of Brad Davies. At about 6-7 cars, going to get something in that one. And here we go. Didn't say it would happen. 20 lap less there now in this race. And it's going to come down to a couple of late race shootouts now. And everybody is now back in this.
And now we'll take a look at the second incident, Evan, because as exciting as all this has been, there were actually two separate incidents, one that didn't draw the caution and the second one that did.
Yeah, that initial one was coming through the corner, and the 23 is going to be the one who gets turned around. That is Brandon Hoff. Relatively lucky, all things considered. They were 2-3 wide with that 21 of Alan Bose, and a slow car down on the bottom. You see the 89 of Landon Harrison stayed out. We thought, where is he going to blend? Held the low line, but was well off the pace, and that checkup, slight contact as the 51 of Laughlin tries to get out of it, and it spins Hoff around. Laughlin keeps going. Hoff, the only one to get turned, does not go into the inside wall, gets going, and then we see that secondary incident that actually puts cars in the fence that you just took a look at there on the front straightaway that slows us down. So we're going to have anywhere in the range of 25 cars who in theory can walk away with this one, and a lot on the line in these next few laps.
Wow. So half the field, roughly, I think, was caught up in one or both of those incidents, Evan?
We had quite a few people that should have been in it, and
they
were able to kind of, maybe their eyes were closed and they were just kind of sliding through it or making some sort of evasive action going through the smoke. That could have been a lot bigger, as again, and I think almost that first incident helped that second one, because if we didn't have that bobble with Hoff and everybody kind of got scattered up in 3 and 4 that first time that did not, or rather in 1 and 2 that didn't bring the yellow, if everybody was still all over each other when that secondary contact happened in the tribal, would have been a lot more cars in that junk.
Oh, yeah. And the biggest thing that I look at in this is the 01 of Tyler Hudson and the 10 of Corey Vincent both made it through both of those incidents.
Tyler Hill comes into this race with 302 points. He's chasing Tyler Hudson with 326 and Corey Vincent second with 318. Tyler Hill sits second in this race. And again, the strategy, the way it's all played out, we've seen it very different. The guys at the top, Hudson and Vincent, have hung back. They're 15th right now for Hudson as well. Corey Vincent up now. It's kind of hopsketch Tyler Hudson after T-Hud was actually in front of him at one point. Vincent now at 11th. So if they sit right now, then not going to be enough for Tyler Hill to get the job done. But that 9 machine going to be on the front row, and these are the moments that essentially the rest of this race, the championship, is out of the hands of Tyler Hudson, is out of the hands of Corey Vincent, even out of the hands of Tyler Hill, because if something happens, anything in that middle of the pack where those two guys are going to be, it's almost nearly impossible to avoid it unless luck is on your side.
Luck was on the side of a lot of these guys, and boy, oh boy, it's made what's going to be about a 15 or 16 lap sprint to the finish really, really exciting. Evan, is there any possible scenario that we get through these 16 laps green flag, or is this just the beginning?
Well, I mean, everything's possible because we should have wrecked like 3, 4, or 5 times on that last cycle, because you can go 3 wide at Daytona. We saw that they went 4 wide. Didn't necessarily work 100% clean, but they made it happen. That's fine. But that's when people are lifting, and we saw leading up to that under the commercial break, we were taking a look on both cameras, and you could see everybody was starting to get staggered. You know, you're not necessarily lined up with the guy in front of you. Once you got guys kind of molded in with each other, 3 lanes deep, you're bound to have somebody catch somebody on a quarter panel, somebody come over somebody's nose, and there's no way that you can prevent that because there's so many things going on at one time. The way these guys are going to be driving in these next 15 or so laps, I don't think there's any way we get through this one with this being the final restart of this race.
I mean, we can dream, can't we? we can dream.
We can think good thoughts, but I don't know if it's going to come to anything.
Yeah, so we're going to have, what, about 15 laps to go, I think, if I'm reading the lights on the pace car correctly when we go back to green flag racing, Evan. And, 10 races, and it all comes down to 15 laps and basically a lottery to decide who's going to win not just a race, but a championship as well. And I mean, there's a part of me that hates it that it comes down to Daytona, but there's a part of me that loves that it comes down to this, because it's going to be the most exciting 15 laps that we have seen on this service in a long, long time.
Yeah, from November 5th all the way through to just about a half hour ago, these drivers had a say in the scenarios coming into this race. We could talk the points. We could talk the changes going into it. We talked strategy. We saw strategy with the top two in points hanging back, and Tyler Hill, who knows that he has a deficit to dig out of, being up front, being in that mayhem. And so far, it has been a P2 spot as everybody groups up out of the front straightaway here, lights off at a pace car. This will be a 15-lap to go restart. But again, you cannot feel comfortable if you are those guys mid-pack. Corey Vincent going to be 10th position. Tyler Hudson going to be 14th. The way they sit right now is 5 positions between Vincent and Hudson. That's a 6-point gap, and there's 5 spots separating them right now, and Corey Vincent has the advantage. This is going to come down to what happens around you or even what doesn't happen, because again, if anything happens, it could be nearly impossible for a Corey Vincent, for a Tyler Hudson, even if it happens up front, a Tyler Hill, to avoid this. There's essentially no control over what's going to happen here. You can try to do something, you can try to work with somebody, try to, maybe even try to find a hole, work with somebody, try to make something work. There's no way that you can guarantee what we're going to be talking about in 20 minutes from now.
I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? This is going to be good. And race fans, if you're watching tonight, sit back, pull your seatbelts tight, and get ready for what I assume is going to be a show, not just for you guys, but for us up top here as well. This is what we've been waiting for the past 9 races. It all comes down to the next just about 30 miles or so to decide what is going to be an incredible, incredible finish to this Pro Series season. Lights are out, and as they work off turn number 4 towards the tri-oval, the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car is going to make the run to pit road, leave the field in the hands of the Cody Bias Racing teammates. Trey Edson on the inside, Tyler Hill on the outside. Green flag goes back in the air. We're underway, 15 laps to settle the season. Edson towards turn number 1 with help from Brandon Cattell. He's going to have the lead for an instant. Josh Berry back there on the bottom is sporting a little bit of front-end damage. He may not be able to lead, but he can certainly try to push this front line to victory lane.
And no help up on the outside lane for quite a few car lengths as the 19 of Mitchell Hunt working and trying to push Tyler Hill, trying to give that CBR entry whatever he can, as Hill, again, still trying to steal this championship. Not going to be clear on the 6 of Trey Eidson this time unless he gives him any space. Not going to happen. You see that idiot Cattell, who was working 3 wide, now finds himself down low, but I got a feeling he doesn't like that bottom lane crossover. Josh Berry going to go to the inside. He wants to win the 6. Now contact 19 and 80 of Cattell up to the middle, leaves Mitchell Hunt up high.
Oh boy. This is where it gets interesting, because you're going 3 wide. Berry on the apron almost. It's getting dicey. 14 laps to go as they head back to turn number 1, and they're changing lanes inside, outside, wherever you can find some help, and right back in the middle of it are the championship contenders. Corey Vincent, Tyler Hudson, still a little bit closer. Vincent 10th, Hudson 13th. It would be Hudson's championship to lose right now, but up front is where our eyes are at as Tyler Hill leads this party to turn 3 along with Trey Edson and the others.
Tyler Hudson does not want to see trouble in front of him because, again, right now in a good spot. Oh, there you go, the 88 hard in the fence. Tyler Hill involved in the incident. The 9 car with damage, avoiding it. Where does everybody get by? The 74, 23 now involved in this one. Everybody scattering, trying to find a way around it. Corey Vincent in the number 9 car, or the 10 machine rather, gets damage in that exchange as well. Caution flag will fly, and that is not what they wanted to say. Huge contact for Josh Berry.
That deserves a patented phrase that I've worked on really hard over this Pro Series, Evan. Ouch!
And we knew it was coming, and I talked about the stagger, and that's what led to it. You saw the 88 just moves up the slightest bit on the Tyler Hill. You take a look at it now, who is also, again, trying to get that side draft. Hook them up in defense. Corey Vincent right in front of him. He's good. the 3 guys that we were talking about. So the 9 car gets damaged, comes down, he hits Corey Vincent. Vincent goes into Landon Harrison. Behind them, everybody trying to scatter and find a way around this to just not get torn up. Tyler Hudson, the 01 car, rides the fence and ends up just scraping it, but essentially comes to a complete stop and survives that incident, and that could be the championship right there, as the 2 guys that he was fighting for and fighting against going to get at least some damage in that one, as both of them were caught up in the immediate wreck.
All right, so now that leaves us with, what, 12 laps to go, I think? Yeah, 12 to go as they cross the stripe, about 9 to go when we get this restart, and we're still not done.
I'm really curious to see what these guys with damage are going to be able to do. I don't expect them to come down and pit, but Tyler Hill, he has to come down. That 9 car is destroyed. Jacob was trying to play spoiler in this, is at least 10th position. He'll drop well into the 20s in this one as the 9 car has damage. You take a look at the 10 of Corey Vincent. He is torn up down pit road. We were just talking about how it was a 1 point to the good for Tyler Hudson on that restart, and he was essentially in a worse off place than these other guys because he would have to deal with everything that happened in front of them. The other 2 may have had an opportunity for it to happen behind them. It just so happens that both Hill and Corey Vincent are involved in that incident, and the 01 slows it way down and nearly gets hit as the 88 of Josh Berry turns back up the racetrack. Tyler Hudson essentially stops that thing on the front straightaway and is able to get through it, not perfectly intact, very, very minor damage, but much more well off than those guys behind him. He'll maintain 13th, and his competition going to be into the 20s and possibly done. Hill and Vincent still in for damage repairs, and that could have been the championship right there, it appears.
Wouldn't that be a storybook ending, though, for Tyler Hudson? Go out a champion. I mean, basically, he did it in the Peak Series when he won the championship in 2013, ended up not running the full schedule last year, and you know, what a way to end his pro career if he does hold on to win this championship tonight. For Tyler Hudson, we talked about it earlier in the show. I mean, just an illustrious career. He's done everything on this sim, and he has done so much to advance this sport of sim racing that to see him go out with another trophy tonight would be very special. And if he can get that car, if it's not hurt very badly and still has enough speed to go up and maybe contend for a win, I can think of a few drivers around him that might give him a shove towards the front of the field here in the closing laps.
He's going to bump up 2 spots and be scored in P11 at the moment. And again, has a very minor damage on that 01 machine, but for the most part, pretty stout is where he sits. And the update on his competition, Tyler Hill 21st and 22nd is Corey Vincent. Vincent needs to beat him by at least 6 positions. Now, the 10 is still out there on track, heavily torn up albeit, but this is still not over. If Hudson is to have some catastrophic error here and get caught up in something and not be able to maintain at least the minimum speed like his competition is doing right now, still could throw a curveball into the end of this, and we know they're not going to take it any more easy on these next restarts than we've seen these last times around.
Yeah, I mean, it was an 8-point margin coming into tonight is what Tyler Hudson was holding, so, I mean, when he's running 11th right now, he basically needed to finish, I'm trying to do quick math in my head here, which is not my strong suit. Hudson needed to finish 4th or better to absolutely assure that there was nothing that could happen if Corey Vincent won the race and led the most laps. Doesn't look like Corey's going to be anywhere close to that. Basically now a top 10 is going to seal the deal for Hudson because Vincent would have to be flawless in these final 10, and we know that car far from flawless after that incident.
Going to put him on the inside of row 6 here, and again, still right in that hornet's nest that you can't count your cars before the end of the game. Take a look up at the pace car as we cross under the flag stand here across the start-finish line. A lot of people getting set to take wave rounds. The lights on the pace car have indeed gone off, I do believe. So that's going to get us set for a restart on lap number 92, and just 9 laps to go. Still with the leeway that if we were to have a caution here, within these first 4 laps off of the green flag, another restart would still be plausible. If we get a caution at 4 to go, it will end under those yellow flag conditions.
do not tell them that there is a chance that they could actually get a caution in and have another restart, Evan. That's the last thing that we want these guys to hear right now.
They're going to have to wreck, and they got to wreck relatively soon. And these restarts, again, so crucial on who you go with and hesitation as well. If you hesitate, we saw it early in the race, not really that big of a thing, but when you're on the outside and you might have been clear on the bottom, you hesitate because you don't want to take that risk. I'm pretty sure I saw that 80 machine earlier in this race, Brendan Gattel, who by the way sits third, take the nose. I'm pretty sure he took the Chevrolet SS Writing off of 2 cars as he cut down from the high side. There's no more hesitating going on, and you know, sometimes you got to go with the gut feeling and just do it, and sometimes it's not going to work out, and it's going to be a wild one for sure with 9 to go, but I don't feel like this is going to be the final restart because still a lot to be decided in this.
Stop it, Evan. Just stop it.
If we're being honest, at least.
I don't know that I want to be honest. I really don't. But what I do know is that we've got 9 to go, and that iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car is going to head to the only safe place on this racetrack, pit road. And we're going green for what I hope is the final restart. Trey Edson leads the party. Brandon Gattel pushing. Green flag back in the air. We're underway, trying to settle this inside of 10 laps to go. Tyler Laughlin blinking a little bit in that lane, and these guys are going to try to get wound up here. And Tyler Hudson actually pulling out a line right here. Yeah, it is.
Oh, Bobble the 51's all over the track. Hudson just wants to get out of the melee because, again, if he stays on track and stays in front of the pretty disabled cars behind him, he's good. He just does not want to get wrecked out of this race. Meanwhile, Trey Eidson almost got left. The 19 faked out. Catella now goes with the 60-80 with no help.
Well, Brandon Gattel, I think that's the first time all night that he's been without a drafting partner. And look at Andrew Fayash in the 77 up into this mix. He's up to 5th and charging for even more. This time by 8 laps to go, 20 miles, and there's contact.
That's the 3rd time now he's taken the lettering off, and it's the 77 of Andrew Fayash, who is not happy over the radio because that just cost him a lot of time damage as well. It's going to slide him back to 89 to Landon Harrison up there, the 3, the 51 of Tyler Laughlin as well. All of those cars getting checked up. That one, and it's a 4-car breakaway at a 2 and down to back straightaway. The 6 and the 19 and the 09 and the 80. The 19 and 80 are not friends because Mitchell Hunt 2 times tonight now has made the 80 think he's going to go with him and then left him. So you know there's some games going on in the top 4.
Oh, games? I don't know. That's just an understatement, Evan. I think it's all-out war right now. 7 laps to go, and I'm not convinced it's a 4-car breakaway at all. These guys did not want to get out too far. Otherwise, the rest of these guys behind them were going to come right back to them. And now that is the case. Gattel to the high side, going for 3rd right now. Wheel-to-wheel up top. Fayash to the bottom in the 77, trying to make the move. That side-by-side battle is for 4th down the back straightaway. The 80, the only one up top with no help. Now he's got it from Tyler Laughlin.
And Laughlin, who is just up inside of the top 5 and nearly had a connection issue that took out the field there, was able to get out of it, drop back, and now working with that 80, who we know has a fast machine, has almost been able to make the job done all by himself, but now the 51 giving him the assist. Eidson leads this. How long does Mitchell Hunt wait if he's the number 19 car? Does he step in line, try to get in front of that 80 machine of Brendan Gattel, coming up on the outside lane, and they'll make it side by side for 2nd. 19 thought about it, but not going to make a move in time, so 19 and 6 are staying hooked together. No help for David Rattler right now. He's the odd man out in these top 5. He need help from the 77 of Fayash, first car back to him, who's in P6.
Yeah, but Fayash just got a pusher in the 3 machine of Brandon Schmidt, so we know that that's not going to be a partnership. The 09 of David Rattler is by himself, and the battle's for the lead in turn number 3. Brandon Gattel in the 80 has made it to the door. The 6 of Trey Edson. That's the battle for the top spot, this time by a single hand out the flag stand. 5 laps to settle it at Daytona.
Now a caution would end this race. Tyler Hudson dropping back to 17th position and well clear now. 4.7 seconds back of this lead pack and still in front of the cars that he needed to be in front of, making the safe move and not risking it en route to what could be a storybook ended in a championship. Ducking out of line, the 42 car, who I believe was just on pit road for a black flag on that restart. That's Charlie Foster. He'll lose quite a few spots, but the battle up front still strong, and it's pretty much 3 tandems for the moment. Anybody else still open to join this? The 3, the 89, and the 28 from 7th on back, one apart.
Yeah, how about fast? She actually was able to pull up to the 09 of David Rattler right now. So it's 3 tandems of 2, 6 cars battling for the win. 4 laps to go, 10 miles at Daytona. Edson leads it. Cattell right there on the high lane, battling with help from the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. The spoiler in this could be where the 19 of Mitchell Hunt goes on this last hole. Trey Edson's around. That's it. Yeah. Brandon Cattell and Tyler Laughlin were in the right place at the right time. Trey Edson goes haywire, battling for the lead and the win. And as they come around under caution to 3 laps to go, we still got to run it out. But Brandon Cattell, as you see the replay, gets through and will get the final win of this Pro Series season.
And we've seen that happen now the 3rd time tonight, just the slightest of movements. And you got to watch it getting on that left rear, coming down the banking where the back end of that car a little bit up in the air, and just the slightest movement on behalf of the 19 who was working with that 6 of Trey Eidson, just turned him around, coming off. The 6 machine went around, everybody trying to avoid it. The 09 of Rattler gets a piece, Landon Harrison then turns Rattler around, the 56 involved as well, and from there on out they all scatter, but it's going to be the outside lane that worked all race long for Brandon Cattell. Not quite as close to the fence as he was used to being, but leading that 2nd lane right there, and was lucky that the 6 machine spun all the way around Jacob. It did not overcorrect on a bobble and go right back up into him. Cattell, right place at the right time, will be able to fly on the outside, and all of that hard work, all of the wicked driving that he's doing, and again, about the 4 sets of Chevy SS decals now on the back bumper of his machine are going to get him into victory lane, assuming, again, that he can make these final 2.5 laps under caution flag conditions. He'll be en route to that, and meanwhile, Tyler Hudson back in 15th position, who is sitting and attempting to maintain in a safe spot right now, and was well out in the back end of that incident as strategy told him to. Dropped out of it, is currently sitting 15th, and if he's able to maintain this spot, will be the 2014-2015 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series champion.
And what a fitting end to a unbelievable career it's going to be for the 01 of Tyler Hudson, at least on the pro ranks. We know he's not going to disappear from the service completely, but as he said, hanging up the black stripes after tonight, and a well-deserved championship to go out on. But Evan, I mean, how much can we say about Brandon Cattell? That machine, the 80 machine, had a car like nobody else tonight. He could make it work by himself. He could make it work 3 wide. He could stick that car inside, outside, by the safer barrier. I don't care what you cut. That 80 machine was great all night long, and it's a deserving win no matter what. I mean, Trey Edson put up a heck of a fight, but that 80 machine was going to be there no matter what.
He didn't put it down a lap in the opening 5-minute warm-up. Not a lot of drivers did, but qualified 34th. And by the time he got to our first yellow, had pretty much passed half of the cars in this field. Since then, went up to the high side and was aggressive. And, you know, he's not out there to make friends. And he said that many times. And that wasn't what he needed to do to get the job done tonight. What he needed was to make his own line. And essentially that's what he did, because he was the only car to be able to make the outside lane work. He had people go up there and essentially just try to, you know, drag onto the back of his draft so that he could bring them up through the field. But I don't know if it was by a, you know, a tape call or something along those lines, but somehow, some way, that 80 machine was bad fast tonight, and definitely, I'd have to say, the fastest car on track, and nearly ended up in the fence a couple times, but that's all part of the game at Daytona. He'll take the white flag this time around.
Yellow and white flying together, which means 2.5 more miles at a very slow, about 80 miles an hour, and Brandon Cattell can start to celebrate, as can Tyler Hudson. White flag going in the air, and this, Evan, the final lap of the Pro Series season for 2014-2015, and since we've got about 2 minutes or so here, what a season it's been.
It has, all the way back to Texas and through, and I mean, in reality, these final 20 laps were all that determined the majority of it, because these final few incidents, again, Texas, all the way through these races, through the road courses, through 1 week ago to the point where we got to Daytona tonight, we circled this race, and we knew that, all right, you know, hypothetically, it could be close at Daytona. You know, we always know Daytona is going to be exciting, but entering this with 4 drivers eligible, 1 driver, Kevin King, not making the start, will still be able to get that top 20 and get that invitation to the Peak Antifreeze Series. So 3 drivers in this, and this race, I said, we don't know what we're going to be talking about in 20 minutes. 20 minutes ago, it was Tyler Hill who was sitting to challenge. It was Corey Vincent who was about 2 positions out from taking it over from Tyler Hudson, and Hudson was in the middle of it all, and it's just the way the cards fell in the end at Daytona, which again, some may like that that's the way it came down to. Some of the drivers on the shorter end of the straw in this exchange, obviously not going to like the way it went down, but it happened. We knew that it would happen, and it came all the way through full circle, and what an exciting finish.
It was a thrilling finish, and what a way to end LSRTV's coverage of the 2014-2015 Pro Series here on iRacing. And as they work off the banking, turn number 4 for the final time, we're coming to the checkered flag, and that means I get to say the words one more time. Down to the going to be a big win, a long-awaited win in this Pro Series season. Brandon Cattell going to fly underneath the caution and the checkered flag. He'll grab the win here at the World Center of Racing. And back there, about 15th, the party can celebrate. Tyler Hudson goes out on top. The 01 wins the championship here in this Pro Series.
And he had to work for that. It's not the checkered flag that was a possibility, but he walks away with the hardware. He walks away with that number 1 seed, and we talked about how he'll be hanging up his pro helmet here and will decline that invitation that he is now going to be given for winning as well as being one of those top 20 cars. Is the champion. That allows some other guys, 21st, and again, a couple other drivers may decline their invitation. I know there's a lot of stuff going to be going on in this short off season before they go racing for the Peak Antifreeze Series. A lot of stuff still to be determined. There's guys that are sitting, 22nd, 23rd, crossing their fingers. Guys 31st, 32nd, crossing their fingers. But there was no better way that I think you could have announced. And again, Tyler Hudson announcing this week that a lot of people surprised. And he said regardless of what happens, that was his decision. And I don't think there's any better way to go out than going out on top.
There's a baby Hudson on the way, too. I know that had a little bit of something to do with it. So it's a smile for Tyler Hudson as he goes out a champion. But how about the celebration on the front stretch? Burn it down, the Terry Labonte tribute scheme for Brandon Cattell. He's victorious through the grass here at Daytona. He gets to celebrate, and why not? He's earned a win here in the final race of the season. And when we come back for the iRacing post-race show, we'll hear from Cattell, some of the other top finishers, and, of course, from our champion for 2014-2015, Tyler Hudson. That's coming up in a moment, but first we'll take care of some business. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series here on LSRTV.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to LSRTV as we are wrapping up the 2014-2015 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series season. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko here in the broadcast booth. Petey Zeller down on pit road. In just a couple minutes, we'll all be down on pit road to talk about what has been a brilliant season and to talk to the stars of this final race of the 2014-2015 season. Evan, I'll throw it to you first because it was a storybook ending for the most part. Tyler Hudson gets the championship in his last race. Brandon Cattell, who I thought for a long time was the fastest thing here, gets the win. I mean, you couldn't have written a better script than this. The only one that might disagree with that is Trey Edson.
Yeah, you come into this race, and again, we circle Daytona as the final one, and you think hypothetically, what ifs? It can come down to the final restarts, and many times that does not come to fruition. This race really came down to the end. Again, 20 minutes ago, a completely different scenario where Hudson was trying to claw back and was only about 1 point to the good. Tyler Hill was closing in on him, and we had a different battle for the lead. The way it all shakes down the road, and again, in typical super speedway race fashion, exactly like a Daytona race you would anticipate the finish. Can't expect much more than what we saw tonight. We saw wicked 3-4 wide racing throughout the entire race. Strategy come into it, carnage, adversity, everything that you could have asked for at a season finale at a plate track. We saw it tonight. And again, no better way for Tyler Hudson to walk away than with the hardware when it's all said and done for the 2014 and 2015 campaign.
It was a brilliant drive, and it now leads down here where things just getting really interesting. And I'm down here, Evan, with place finisher who got through the scrum there in those final couple of laps, Tyler Laughlin. I know it is not a win for you tonight, but you survived there in the final laps. Trey Edson went spinning. You were able to dodge and come up with a podium result. And I believe, based on my math, lock yourself in for the Peak Series here in 2015.
Yeah, I did. I think I finished 12th in points, so it moved me up quite a bit. But the whole Cody iRacing team, we thought we had it in the bag right there about halfway through. We had all top 4 spots up there in the front, and something with my internet was messing up right there in the middle of the race whenever we were doing all those switching of the positions under green flag pit stops and all that. And I feel really unfortunate after all this that I took out my teammate Trombley with the internet connection and took him out of a Peak license, and that's what I feel worst about tonight. But the whole team performed really good, and I felt like I was the last man standing because everyone else on the team wrecked, and I was just trying to bring it home in a top 5 finishing position for how good we ran all night.
You ran so strong all night, and I know you wanted to contend for the win there at the end, and we're in position to. Was there anything you could have done differently there in those final laps to make a move and try to get to the lead?
I tried making some moves, but I knew Trey had on more tape than everyone on our team, so he was going to be hard to pass on the bottom if as long as he held his line, and which he did. So I could tell Cattell had more tape on by how fast he was running on the outside. So I was like, I'm going to stick with him, hoping that I could maybe push him up there and give me a shot at the win. But with Trey spinning out right there at the end, it kind of took our chances away. But I tried my best to get up there and get 2 wins on the season.
I know you tried it, and certainly a strong run like this does give you some momentum headed into the 2015 season. Tyler, what do you take away from this Pro Series, and how can you use some of the success that you and the Cody Bias team have found in these 10 races to translate it over to success in the Peak Series?
Well, as long as the build doesn't change going into the next Peak season, I'm really excited to get it started because we've had a lot of bad luck. My team, just me, I've had a lot of bad luck this season, but the team's been performing really, really good. And I know that going into the Peak Series, we're going to be really strong with Cody and Bolton and Adam Gillen and Alex Warren and all them guys coming back. We're going to be really strong and looking forward to the intermediate tracks. That's what we've been strong on all season here in the Pro Series. But I feel like we can really perform. We'll turn some heads whenever the Peak Series comes around.
And I know you're excited to get that kicked off here in about a month or so, Tyler. But one more time for this Pro Series before we cut you loose. No, you can't do it by yourself, and shout-outs always necessary. So at the end of a long season, who makes it happen for Tyler Laughlin?
Oh, definitely. I'm going to give a shout-out to everybody over at the Cody Bias Racing crew. They've been phenomenal all season. We've been just so fast at every single type of racetrack, and Cody Bias and Justin Bolton have put in so many hours on our setups, and I really got to thank them the most for giving me pieces as good as they've been and giving me chances to win like I did earlier this season at Richmond. And then I want to thank my main sponsor, Monster Energy, for jumping on board for the Pro Series. Hopefully they can renew the contract for the Peak Series coming up, and No Bull Network and NobleMotorsports.com. And that's about it. Everybody over here at LSRTV, you guys did a phenomenal job for every single race. I wish you guys could do the Peak Series because you guys just are heads and hills above PSRTV. But thank you guys for everything you do.
We appreciate it, Tyler. Congratulations to place, and I guess we'll see you right back here at the World Center of Speed in about a month to kick off the Peak Series.
Thank you, guys.
That's Tyler Laughlin, comes home third. Petey Zeller, you're down on pit road and catching up now with the guy who came up just short in tonight's sprint to the finish. Mitchell Hunt coming home second here.
Mitchell, you had a fast car night start on the pole, man. I mean, you came up just a little bit short tonight, but you can't be too disappointed. Take me through your race, man.
Well, Tim Terry, the car was pretty good in qualifying. We had all four of our cars starting, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we were kind of sticking to our plan in the race, and that's what we stuck with, and it worked for the most part. And racing got a little tight. I wish we would have came with the win. That would have been kind of nice, but Ray just kind of lost it out there in front of me. But that's, I guess, how it goes.
Well, Mitchell, you didn't quite retain your pro license. You missed 2 races, man. What's your plan in the off season? Do you plan on coming back next season stronger and better than ever?
Probably not. Probably a lot of fapping or something. I really don't know. I think I'll just run the lower series just for the lulz.
All right, Mitchell. And are you disappointed with the season, or are you happy, or are you just proud you were a pro?
Well, I'm pretty much pro 24/7, so the season I think it could have obviously went better. I mean, I know what kind of speed we had each and every week, so I'm not really too disappointed.
All right, before I let you catch up with your crew, Mitchell, who do you got to thank? Who makes it happen for you in the 19 crew?
Well, everybody on this DuPont Xerox, Sandman, Hotel Group, Denny's, Bell, Ceridian, Gatorade, Pepsi, Sprite, Frito-Lay, USI Insurance, Justice Resource Institutes, Enterprise. I mean, everyone's pretty much on there. Budweiser, Coors Light, Miller Lite, Flowmaster, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, PPG, O'Reilly. They're all pretty good. They all throw dollars and just, make it rain. So I'm pretty happy.
All right, that was our second place finisher tonight, and Evan Pasoko's in victory lane with Brandon Cattell.
Here we're live down in Gatorade Victory Lane, and after starting in 34th position, picking up 33 spots throughout the night, the driver of the number 80 car is going to be the one who ends up victorious, and you were in the right spot at the right time, Brandon. Caution flag flying down there, just coming into those closing laps, spinning inside of you, and you take home the win, but it did not coast home to this one by any means. Final race with everything that's gone throughout this season, starting in November and all the way through now to the 2015 side of things, taking home the win. But what did your car have? I mean, you started 34th, man. You take home the win, and you were working on the outside, and at first, everybody was just kind of watching you, and they figured out, hey, maybe this guy knows something, and essentially, you were helping people get up through the field, but by no doubt, I think you had one of the fastest cars tonight. What was the game plan? How'd you get it done? How'd you execute?
Man, it was just stick to the top, dude. It was, I did the same thing in the DWC race back in 2014 last year, and I just went to the top when nobody else was. And a lot of people, they check up on the bottom and the middle, and obviously you can hold it wide open up there and you start making ground, and then maybe you get people following like Alan Bowes did and a couple other people, and I was fortunate. And game plan was just whatever just happens. It was just flow with the cautions and just hope where we could be in a good position at the end of that race.
And it came down to the final laps with the championship and all of that going on. And at one point making a move 3 wide, cutting down all the way to the bottom, getting the job done. And again, aggressive is something that some people try to avoid at Daytona. Some people try to be passive aggressive, hang back and just kind of tiptoe their way through and kind of fly under the radar. Not the strategy for the AD team tonight. Was that the idea going in? And again, starting 34th position, did that kind of force you into playing that hand?
I told Tom and Tommy Mustakis and Luke Huffman, I told them at the beginning, I told them I'm just going to run as hard as possible because I know if I lay back, it's not going to work. I've done it before and it's never worked. And in all my races that I did in DVC, I finished top 5, just racing hard. So I thought to myself, finally, eventually, I'll get one of these things that I'll race hard. And there was no lifting tonight. And I know a lot of those guys were going for the championship, making the top 20 in the points, but we were just, for me, it was just for that win, and I had to do what I had to do.
And to close off the series with that trip to victory lane, and when it's all said and done, and you look back on what you and the team have done throughout this campaign and the way it all shaked out, obviously it's easy to second guess things that happened in the past. Not going to be the top 20 that you guys were shooting for, but what are we going to see with you and the 80 team rolling forward here in years to come?
Oh, dude, we're just gonna have fun on iRacing, dude, because that's what it's really meant. This game is really just to have fun on. You know, it's pretty hard making setups and stuff. It kind of gets stressful, but also it can be really fun. But at the end of the day, if you're having fun on iRacing, that's all you gotta do, dude.
Well, we've seen you out here on the super speedways on Friday night, so we know you were going to be a contender. You get the job done tonight. Your number 80 machine of Brandon Cattell. Brandon, before we let you head off and into future endeavors here, sponsors and shout-outs, everybody for the past 3 months who makes this possible.
All right, cope with me here for a second. This is a lot. I gotta thank Robert Cattell Roofing, my dad's sponsorship. Gotta thank Kellogg's, eat them cornflakes. Gotta thank Kyle Taraska because, he's Kyle Taraska. Gotta thank Casey Pierce. Gotta thank Joshua Williams because he's a professional NASCAR spotter. We gotta thank Alan Bowes for helping me during the race. Gotta thank Tyler Laughlin for pushing me for the last couple laps. Gotta thank Corey Henry for spotting, Lucas Huffman, and Tom Mustakis for making that setup. I was gonna work with Brandon Chaburko for this race, but he got wrecked, and hopefully he made pro. I'm not sure or DWC. I'm not sure what that happened. I got to thank Ron for driving the car here to the track. Ron Thompson, he drove the hauler to Daytona, and got to thank Case Pierce. I think I said him. I don't even know, man. This is crazy. I'm happy. I'm in victory lane, dude.
Well, after everything that happened, fitting that you drive that 80 machine and nearly took all 4 wheels off of it to get the job done, but you're a winner at Daytona, you win the Pro Series, and you're able to walk off on that note, Brandon. Thanks for talking with us, and good luck. We'll be looking forward to seeing whatever you and the guys do next.
Thank you.
That is it down from Gatorade Victory Lane at the Daytona International Speedway. Guys, your winner in the number 80 car, picking up 33 positions, passing about 3/4 of the field to take home the win, was Brandon Cattell.
Yeah, and I'm over here, Evan, at the championship stage. Things aren't quite set up just yet, and I know we've still got more guys in the top 5 to talk to. Petey Zeller, you're back down on pit road with the guy who finished in the top 5 fourth tonight for Andrew Fayash.
Well, I'm caught up with a driver I know very well, Andrew Fayash. And Andrew, you got a top 5 out of tonight. I haven't seen the point stands yet. I don't know where you're lined up, man. But are you happy with the night, man? Did you close out the season the way you want to?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, the big pile up there when Barry got turned around in front of the field, I got some right front damage. I immediately went to the grass to try to miss it because I thought it was going to, block the whole track the way it started. And it kind of did, but just I could not stay in the grass as long as I wanted to, and it just drove itself back up onto the track, and I believe it was Hurst was there with nowhere to go, and that gave me some right front damage, and I had no car left at that point. So I'm disappointed that I got damage in it, but at the same time, I mean, I did miss it and end up fourth, so I can't complain too much. But I was ready to start making moves, and I just didn't have the car to do it at the end. So it was a little frustrating the last few laps, wanting to make moves when I had runs and just knowing that the car wasn't going to be there to keep it.
Yeah, Andrew, that'd certainly be disappointing, but hey, you still got a top 5, man, and you're going to be able to be eligible to qualify for positions 41 through 43 in the DWC next season. Do you plan on taking advantage of that, or You're just in the same boat as Hudson. You've ran the series since day one, or do you plan on following Hudson on the door out?
I'm not quitting, but I can't promise that I'm going to qualify for races, especially when it comes to, like we start at Daytona and there's 10 people going for 3 spots. It's not an easy task, and I'm terrible at qualifying, as you guys know. So I'm going to try, but I'm not going to go in with any sort of expectations for the season. Yeah, I did end up 22nd in points. If I talk somebody else into quitting, maybe I could get, a DWC license that way, but that wouldn't be the best way to go about it. But, I got to thank the team this week. They put in a lot of effort, and all season, BBH Motorsports, everybody over there, Map on Tempe, and Coppinger joined us partway through the season, and Bart came in, and Victor's been there the whole season. I mean, we have a bunch of people over there now that have been putting in a lot of hard work. Colin Keister, all those guys. They've done a great job. We had a great race setup tonight. We didn't have too good of a Q set, but we had a great race setup, and I didn't get entirely enough time to showcase that. But it definitely is capable of running up front there.
All right, Andrew. Before I let you go, catch up with your crew. Who do you think? Who makes it happen for you in the number 77 machine?
Well, I got to thank Bullring for hopping on board as a sponsor. Their Street Stock series on Saturday nights right now, and a great place to race. I got my first win there last Saturday, which took way longer than I thought it was going to. But now it's a great group of people over there, and the racing's getting better every single week as you guys shake off the new series type of feel, I guess. But now that everything's getting organized and sorted out, it's been great fun over there. So I highly recommend it. If you like street stocks and your free Saturday nights, go check it out, Bullring Racing.
All right, well, that was Andrew Fayash III, and Jacob, I'm going to send it back to you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the championship stage is coming. Everybody's getting excited. The crowd's starting to form, but Evan Pasoko, we got one more guy to talk to before we get Biff, and he told me during the last commercial break he doesn't get these top 5 finishes a whole lot, so we want to give him a chance to hear from him here at the end of this. Brandon Schmidt, a solid run tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty clutch. We just came into the race 1 point to the good from making the cutoff, and we just needed to run safely and stay out of trouble, and luckily we missed the 2 big wrecks by inches.
It's going to be the P5 that you were looking for all season, and it's going to be a P11 in the total championship standings, Brandon, which gets you into the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, which, along with a lot of the guys that had thoughts of the championship rolling into this, is the ultimate goal. And right there, smack dab in the middle of the class that's going to move on from this into that series, has to feel like you've accomplished what you wanted. And again, you talk about the top 5, your first top 5 on the year, fitting that it comes at Daytona, which obviously has to give you some momentum going forward.
Yeah, it was just a really down year. We failed to qualify for Texas, which is one of my favorite tracks, and I just choked. And so the season was really looking down at that point. And especially coming off last year's Pro Series where we were second in points most of the season, and we ended up finishing 5th by 3 points or so from second. So, we had a great season last year, and this season was just, one of those seasons where nothing went right. And but the ultimate goal, like you said, was just to punch the ticket into next year's Peak Antifreeze Series, and we did that, and it's a fresh start, and we'll see what happens.
And now that you roll into that, knowing and having some experience, again, you along with 19 other drivers that you've raced against since November are going to be joining that class of drivers that, again, you're well familiar with as well. Anything new that you may have learned throughout these last few months that you can apply and put into those races to maybe get some success in the series that I know you really want?
No, a lot of these guys I've been racing with for 4 or 5 years now, and how everyone races, and it's just, the nerves are gone anymore. I don't get nervous anymore for these races and stuff, so I just hope for good luck, and that's, where we've come up on the short end, especially this season.
And we know Daytona can definitely come down to luck. We saw it there in those latter stages. You were leading what was essentially that second pack coming through, and then the caution flag flying, ending this race. It's going to be a top 5. You worked all season. You got the job done, and now you got a lot more races on your 2015 schedule. Brandon, before we let you go, sponsors and shout-outs, as always, all the people that make this possible.
Yeah, definitely. Lastro Motorsports, they've been a home for me for the past 2 years or so, and um, my spotter, Nate Choder, did an excellent job spotting me through those major wrecks that would have just ended our season had we got just a slight piece of it. So the team and Nate and everyone that helps out with the team with information and stuff like that.
Well, thanks for taking a moment to talk to us, Brandon. Congratulations on the top 5, and as well that golden ticket into the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. We'll be sure to follow your endeavors through there as well as everybody else. And again, congratulations on a long, hard-fought season, and we hope to see you again here in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Evan, and thank you, LSRTV, for doing these broadcasts. You guys do an excellent job, so keep up the good work, and hopefully you guys do next year's Pro Series.
We appreciate the kind words. That is your top 5 finisher, P5 tonight, and one of the drivers that will move into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Brandon Schmidt, who finally gets that top 5 he fought all season long for, and now we get what everybody has waited all post-race for. Jacob Seelman, the stage all set up now?
The stage is set. The champagne's getting ready to be popped, and he's climbed from the car. And I sat here and thought a long time about this, and Tyler Hudson, I believe one of the biggest moments that I remember you and I got to sit here and talk about was after the 2013, what was then still DWC. When you won the championship, it turned into the Peak Series. You didn't run the full season in 2014, but you came back to run this Pro Series and announced about a week ago that this was going to be it. No matter what happened, the stripes were going up after tonight, and whether it was a championship or not, different priorities for you to focus on. So I guess the big question, because you and I started this road 10 weeks ago, and now we finish it right here tonight with a championship. How much does this one mean to you, being able to go out on top after everything you've done on this service over the years?
Well, as anybody can imagine, it's freaking awesome, to say the least. We started the season pretty much plans to win the championship and won the first race of the season, and then after that, I think we led all but maybe 2 or 3 weeks in the whole season. So the guys really put it together, and we really dedicated to ourselves to win this championship. They knew, because of my past, that if they did their part and I did my part, we were gonna have a really good shot at the championship, and it all worked out perfectly. I mean, I couldn't be happier. And then it is bittersweet. I mean, I love the series to death. I love DWC series, Pro Series. There's a lot of tough times when you don't run well, but it's so much fun and satisfying to get wins and run well in championships. And it's just a point in life. I'm probably in the upper 10% as far as age in this series. So it's just time to do some other things, some other priorities, some other stuff that's come up in life. And that's just the way it goes. But I'm still going to be playing iRacing, still going to be helping my teammates as much as I can, racing the NIS Fix Series or whatnot. Just not dedicated to these pro races where they take so much time and effort to contend for championships. I mean, we could probably run and give it a halfway effort and run 20th, but that would not be any fun at all. So it's the best move for right now. But who knows? You never know what the future holds, 5, 6 years from now, where life is and whatnot. But hey, we won the championship this year. We're going out on top, and that is just too cool, man.
I know it's got you with a huge smile on your face, Tyler. You won what's now the Peak Series title 2013. You win this title tonight. I mean, looking back on all this, obviously those are the 2 really highlight moments on this service, but how much has it meant to you even more so to help build iRacing into what it is right now and really be a part of this group that's taken it to the next level over the last 4 or 5 years?
Well, as a quote-unquote professional sim racer, that's everything. I mean, to me anyways, I really enjoy watching iRacing grow, helping however I can with anything involved with the development of the sim. I've pretty much been a hardcore sim racer for more than half of my whole life, so it's a really big deal to me, and it's a part of who I am, and my quote-unquote legacy. That's just the way it is. But I don't know. It's It's cool. We'll see what the future holds. I wouldn't mind helping iRacing out if I could, as maybe officiating or something like that. I'll definitely be involved somehow, one shape or another, spotting for some guys or something like that, and helping the series do good. Because I really love the series and want to see it continue to grow and do good. I mean, give people like me who don't have opportunities to get in real cars. I mean, I've gotten shots, not just the peak deal, but other opportunities from sim racing, and that's pretty darn cool. And I don't think a lot of video games or simulators can say that about anything really. So we'll see what happens.
I know we will, and I made a comment about your priorities shifting just a little bit. I have to imagine in a couple months, life for you, I know it's taken a totally different turn because there's a baby on the way in your house.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. A little baby girl due in April. Me and Lisa are really excited about that. I'm sure when that happens, I won't even miss this stuff. But until then, it's going to be really hard to watch those first few races of the season get underway and everything. But I know in my heart the decision needed to happen. It's the best decision, so I can live with it and keep on going.
Well, let's for just a second talk about the race tonight because I saw you on that last restart duck out of line and just kind of get out of the hornet's nest. And really, that was about your whole night tonight. You were just trying to survive. Was that the plan from the beginning? Just kind of ride, stay out of trouble, and just do what you needed to do to try and bring this championship trophy home?
Yeah, I need to make some phone calls because whoever put Daytona as the last race was not thinking straight. That was the most, out of all of the racing I've done, that was the worst race to be a part of, fighting for a championship. It just was no fun from the drop of the green flag because, anything can happen. It does happen, and all we could think about was saving our car. And I mean, I'm riding under caution, that first caution. I'm just sick to my stomach because I mean, even racing for $10,000 at Homestead and DWC, I never got sick or nervous or whatever. But I was sweating this whole night, and but the guys, I mean, like that last wreck where it took out the other contenders, the guys spotting for me, Travis Sollenberger and Adam Apple, they were like, "Dude, they're about to wreck," and literally half a lap before they wrecked, I was really on the fence because I know Corey was going for it, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go for it if I'm gonna beat him if it stays green. But something just told me when they said that, I bailed out, and half a lap later it wadded up the whole field. So huge credit to those guys. That's why they're up there spotting for me. They have really good instincts, and I can trust them. If championship's on the line, they say pull out, I'll pull out. So can't thank those guys enough for that. It was a very, very nerve-wracking race, but fortunately it ended up with us as the champion.
It did, and I know a championship means there's a whole lot of people to thank. I'm sure there's a long list, Tyler, and to close this chapter of your career and to close this pro series here on the championship stage, no, you can't do it by yourself. So I'm kind of glad it's down to me to ask you this one more time. Who makes it happen for Tyler Hudson?
Well, I mean, I can't name them all, but the whole Trifecta Racing Group, obviously, they believed in me before this pro season. I wasn't really on a competitive team that could run pro, and they took a chance and let me on with them, and I mean, this is what happened. So it all paid off. I hope it is as much satisfying for them as it was for me. Even before that, though, my whole career pretty much there's a lot of people that were involved, and like Jared Crawford jumps out helping me win that championship, Dustin Montgomery, just a lot of people. I can't really name them all without taking up an hour, but just everybody that's ever helped me out, I really appreciate it. And the Trifecta group that I'm on now, you guys rock. I love you guys, and I'm glad we were able to do it.
You did it, Tyler. I know we'll see you back around the service, and I have to imagine if the circumstances are right, we may just see you back with those black stripes again sometime down the road. But congratulations. You're a champion one more time, my friend. Go celebrate with the crew. And we won't see you in Daytona next month, but we'll see you when we see you.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Thank you very much.
And that was your champion, Down here, Tyler Hudson gets to celebrate with the hardware one more time. And Evan Pasoko, you and Petey have climbed up there to the tower here. I'll join you in a minute, but let's go through this full field rundown to start wrapping a bow on this 2014-2015 Pro Series season, shall we?
Well, it was Brandon Cattell down in the Gatorade victory lane who took home the win after starting 34th. Pole sitter Mitchell Hunt nearly got the job done, would come home in second. Third to T-Loff, you got Andrew Fayash with a P4 and a fifth. To Brandon Schmidt, Landon Harrison got a sixth place out of it. Seventh to Casey Tucker. Shane Miller, after starting back on the second to last row in this one, comes home with an eighth place. Alex Scribner, ninth. David Rattler slides back to P10 when it's all said and done. 11th to Brandon Hoff. You got Rob Ackley in 12th. 13th, Patrick Crabtree. Brad Davies, 14th. 15th to Tyler Hudson, locking up that championship. 16th is Brandon Bowie. Timu Ivonen comes home 17th. 18th is Stephen Gilbert. Taylor Hurst, 19th. And top 20 for Benjamin Burmeister.
21st was Tyler Hill, one of the guys in the championship fight starting this evening. 22nd to Sasha Wessler, the last car on the lead lap at the finish. 23rd, a lap down, Thomas Davis. 2 down was Trey Edson in 24th, as well as Corey Vincent in 25th. 26th to Charlie Foster. 27th to Alan Bowes. 28th, Matt Spangler. 29th to Brandon Coppinger. Rounding out the top 30, and all these guys on back basically out of this race. Josh Berry, Ryan Lowe, 31st, 32nd, Greg McKinney, 33rd to Justin Trombley, 34th to Nathan Wise, 35th to Kwame Ajay, 36th, Robin Williams, 37th, Brandon Chaburko, 38th, Kyle McCormick, 39th, Stephen Azenyi, 40th, Shane Doherty, and shotgun on the field in 41st tonight was Dwayne Vincent. And Evan, I know somewhere in the bowels of Mathland, the crack team has worked from iRacing, and we have the final points for the 2014-2015 Pro Series. We know Tyler Hudson's the champ, but I'm looking at how they shake out back behind him just a little bit, and there's a few guys who were right on the cusp of making these different sections to qualify for either the Peak Series or the Go or Go Home spots. It was tight at the checkered flag.
Yeah, the total going to be for the championship, 18 points, but Tyler Hudson takes home the championship. But again, the top 20 receiving those invitations, we already know that he will turn his down, which means top 21 will be the lucky number for now, assuming that everybody accepts him. And again, there's still a little bit of leeway moving forward. But the official qualifiers of the people that will get their invitations include Tyler Hudson, Corey Vincent, Tyler Hill, Kevin King, Trey Eidson, top 5, Brian Schoenberg, Landon Harrison, Casey Tucker, Brad Davies, and Patrick Crabtree. Through 10th position, David Rattler, Tyler Laughlin, Brandon Schmidt, Stephen Gilbert, and Timu Ivonen. 15th position, Alan Bowes, Taylor Hurst, Benjamin Burmeister, Rob Ackley, and Nathan Wise through 20th. Now the gap for what would have been that cutoff, 20th through 21st, was 1 point, where Brandon Chaburko totaling in at 214 and 21st, 215 for Nathan Wise. We know that Hudson will turn down his invitation. That opens up the door for the Brandon Chaburko machine to be able to try to take his seat into NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Again, still a lot of other drivers that we are unsure of their plans. So if they were to, say, drop out the cars that we know will at least have the ability to go for a go or go home spot, and again, couple of positions that may sway which direction if a couple of drivers decline would be 22nd, Andrew Fayash, the 3rd, Thomas Davis comes home 23rd, 24th is Ryan Lowe, 25th position to Alex Scribner, 26th, Justin Trombley, Brandon Hoff, 27th, Sasha Wessler, 28th, 29th to Brandon Bowie, and Shane Doherty right on 30th position, rounding them out through 31st to 35th, and again, these drivers have to kind of sit and wait, which is not a comfortable feeling. Mitchell Hunt, 31st. 32nd, Josh Berry. Greg McKinney, 33rd. 34th, Brandon Hawk. And 35th, Matt Spangler. Everybody else, you got McCormick, Doucette, Foster, Azenyi, Miller, Laughlin, Miller, Williams, Cattell, Ajay, Vincent, Morse, Lopez, Coppinger, and Brown throughout the 50. But quite a few big names that we expected, and a couple of surprise names as well, Jacob, sneaking into that advancing class.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the names we're very familiar with in this advancing class. Some of them are relatively new names to the pro level. So it's going to make the next season for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series very, very interesting. Looking forward to watching that kick off. But before we say goodnight here for LSRTV, I want to get some final thoughts. First, I'll go down to pit road to you, Petey Zeller, because we've seen a lot. You have seen a lot from down there and up here with us. thoughts? What are your thoughts on a really incredible 10 races that we've had?
It was just fantastic to watch, and Tyler Hudson proved why he's the best once again. And I think it's very fitting he went out on top tonight, and all these other guys. I mean, this is a series where you want to be Tyler Hudson. You're basing yourself off Tyler Hudson. You want to be what he has been to the series, and the young guys can really base themselves off that and moving forward. And also, I got to thank all you at LSRTV for letting me come on board this season. I got to say, probably one of the coolest things I've ever done was commentating an actual NASCAR event, so that was probably up there, and thank you guys for letting me do that.
Evan Pasoko, I turn to you now for just a moment, because you and I literally have been through the trenches together on this one. It's been a whole lot of fun. I've enjoyed it, and, we get ready to say goodnight from Daytona. I couldn't have pictured a better finish to this to this Pro Series leading into the Peak Series than what we saw here tonight.
The first night race, somebody else could have punched their ticket, figure out what's happening. But again, Daytona, for things to work out so perfectly with the storybook ending for our champion Tyler Hudson, extremely fitting. And we've gone through just trying to get into these races to not know what we're doing for the next race. And it's been a wild ride all the way from Texas, being able to do this once again and having the honor to do it alongside you. Jacob, it's been fun. And there's a lot of exciting things brewing for the next class of the pro drivers as well. So who knows if we'll have the opportunity to do that again. But I want to thank everybody that tuned in as well for sticking with us for all these weeks. We have a lot of stuff coming up on LSRTV. Go to livesimracing.com. We got short tracks on Thursday, Super Speedway Racing Friday. We got Core on Sunday, RSR on Monday. A lot of great stuff. But just thanks to everybody for tuning in. And it was a blast to be a part of, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
That's what we're all hoping. I'll add my final thoughts now, and try not to take a book here, because this has been a wild ride. Had fun being a part of it, and just glad to hop up here one more time to close it out at Daytona. It's been a crazy 10 races, going all the way back to that absolutely chaotic finish at Texas. Tyler Hudson started the season talking about a win, ended the season talking about a championship, basically a perfect bookend to what was an incredible 10 races of action. Congratulations going out to that 01 Trifecta Racing Group team on their title here tonight, and best wishes to Tyler as he embarks on the next phase of his journey. Congratulations from me going out to all the guys who will qualify and race in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series coming up in about a month's time. It'll kick off at Daytona International Speedway on PSR TV, and just looking forward to watching that. Of course, congratulations going out to Brandon Cattell, who picks up the win tonight and closes a tough season for him on a really high note. Can't ask for more. You could tell just the happiness oozing from him there in the closing laps, and it's been fun to watch and been fun to be a part of and be a voice of here on LSR TV. So one final time from Daytona International Speedway, for my broadcast partner Evan Pasoko, Petey Zeller down on pit road, and our executive producer Laura Lawson for LSR TV, I'm Jacob Seelman, reminding all you sim racing fans out there to keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time on the web. Again, congratulations to Brandon Cattell, Tyler Hudson. They get the hardware. We'll see you when we see you. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series kicks off at Daytona next month on PSR TV. Until then, so long and good night from the World Center of Speed.